School Innovation and Turnaround Committee is now called to order. Roll call, please.
Dr. Volpe? Here. Dr. Volpe is present. Mr. Castile?
Here.
Mr. Castile is present. Dr. Davis? Here. Dr. Davis is present. Ms. Ellis? Ms. Ellis is not present. Mr. Garvey?
Here.
Mr. Garvey is present. Ms. Holloway?
Here.
Ms. Holloway is present. Mr. Mellery?
Here.
Mr. Mellery is present. Mr. Morris?
Here.
Mr. Morris is present. Ms. Orange Jones? Ms. Orange Jones is not present. Mr. Rock? Mr. Rock is present. Ms. Roche? Here. Ms. Roche is present. You have a floor.
Thank you, ma'am. Our first item on the agenda, our next item on it.
The first item is on page 1, item 2.1, consideration of 2021-2022 request for applications timeline and common charter application. The department recommendation is to approve the application timeline framework as outlined, authorizing the department to amend the timeline as needed, noting that BESE will be notified of any revisions.
So moved.
Okay. I've got a motion from Dr. Volpe, and I've got a second from Mr. Morris. Right, Mr. Morris? Not yet. All right, and I think we've got a presentation.
No, sir, not on the
A presentation. All right. Any discussion, comments from the board? All right, any objection? Motion passes. Next item.
The next item is on page 8, item 2.2, consideration of an update report regarding Type 2 charter contracts and requests for amendments. The department recommendation is to approve the request to change the physical location of JCFA East and Lincoln Prep as outlined.
So moved.
That's been moved by Dr. Davis, but seconded by Mr. Garvey. Any report, comments, discussion? Any objection to the motion? No objection, motion passes. Next item, please.
The next item is on, oh wait, I'm sorry, we had public comment on 2.2.
Yeah, public comments on 2.2 just passed. We had Ann Catherine Lynette wishes to speak, supports the recommendation, or provide information. Do you wish to speak or do you wait? Okay, she waives. We also have Mr. Gordon Ford on this item that just passed. He wishes to speak in support of the recommendation of the item that just passed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to briefly speak and take this opportunity to say thank you to the people in this room. 6 years ago, we started a journey in Grambling with this Type 2 charter school, and now we're embarking upon building a brand new K-12 complex in the city of Grambling, something that has not happened in 70 years. And so I just wanted to thank BESE, thank the superintendent, the members of the department, and all the people who were involved that we've reached this milestone. We have started construction, and we're very excited that our kids will be moving into a brand new state-of-the-art school campus there in Grambling. So I just wanted to come and say thanks to the members of BESE for embarking upon that journey with us and for continuing to support us. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Mr. Ford, and great job. Excellent work. Next item, please.
The next item is on page 20, item 2.2, consideration of an update report regarding charter school extension and renewal guidelines for the 2021-2022 extension and renewal cycle. The department recommendation is to receive the report.
Motion to receive, please. Mr. Morris moves, Ms. Boucher seconds. Presentation of the report. Dr. Gruffin.
Yes, sir. Just continuing the need for adjustments over the course of the last year and a half for various matters. We also have to make some adjustments relative to charter renewals and extensions. And so what we wanted to do today is just take an opportunity to share with you the framework that we're considering on making those decisions. Certainly beyond today, welcoming any continued feedback from members of the board around this process, but Max Day will make a presentation today.
Thank you. Max?
All right. Good afternoon. My name is Max Day. I am the interim assistant superintendent to the Office of Equity, Inclusion, and Opportunities. And as Dr. Brownlee stated, I will be here to talk about the process that the department will be using to derive the recommendations that we will be bringing back to this board in December regarding charter extensions and renewals.
Max,
Yes.
pull the microphone just a little bit closer to you.
Is that better?
Yes.
Rookie mistake, sorry. All right. As we've seen, we are in a situation in which these last 18 months has been unpredictable. That has had impacts wide-ranging on almost every aspect of this department's work, including our charter extensions and renewals. That said, the way that our charter system is set up, schools have to come up for renewal on an annual cycle, right? This year, we have 18 schools in the process. Without going too deep into the policy, there are 3 buckets that schools can fall into. One, schools that are initially approved and they're in their first cycle. They are open for 4 years and they have the option to extend to that 5th year. So that would be your extension schools. There are 2 of those schools in the process, BESE Academy and New Harmony High School. In your initial term, you have that full 5-year term after you're extended, and then that would be considered your initial renewal. Those are the 4 schools listed there: Collegiate Baton Rouge, Geo Prep Mid-City Baton Rouge, JCFA Lafayette, which is an alternative school, or it is a school that uses an alternative rubric, and then Noble Mines Institute. Subsequent renewals, we have a number of schools, and I do apologize, under that second renewal bucket, there should be added Advantage Charter Academy. But for the schools that are in subsequent renewals, we have Advantage Charter, Dalton, Iberville Charter Academy, Impact Charter Elementary, Lake Charles Charter Academy, Lake Charles College Prep, Northeast Claiborne Charter, Southwest Louisiana Charter Academy, University View Academy, Willow Charter Academy, and then schools that are up for their 3rd renewal would be Kenilworth Science and Technology Charter School and the Louisiana Virtual Charter Academy. Altogether, this represents nearly 13,000 students across the state. Typically, in the past, the single biggest determinant in charter school renewals is the SPS and letter grade. As you can see on the board, there are pretty clear-cut standards when it comes to schools that will be renewed and schools that will not be renewed under normal circumstances. Given the fact that our most recent full SPS is from 1819, this is going to look a little bit different this year. And so the conversation today is to talk about what that process will look like and how we will be bringing recommendations to this board. The process that we put together is grounded in this policy here. Section 1505 of Bulletin 126, it states that when a charter school does not meet the criteria for renewal in the initial or subsequent charter term, BESE may renew the charter based upon the recommendation of the state superintendent. Such renewal may include conditions to be incorporated in a charter school contract and may require the charter operator to phase out operation of the school over the course of the renewal term. Prior to recommending such renewal, the following must be considered. 1, non-renewal may require students to attend lower performing schools. And 2, available academic data, including student performance data and or student growth data of neighboring and comparable schools has been reviewed. Now that we've grounded ourselves in the number of schools, the number of students, and our policy basis, I would like to walk you guys through the process that we are going to walk through to bring you recommendations in December. Essentially, referring back to that 1819 school performance score and letter grade, again, the last full SPS that we have as calculated in accordance with Bulletin 111, that's where we start. We ask ourselves the question, would the school have met renewal standards using 1819 SPS? If yes, they'll follow that top track, where the LDOE will then bring you guys recommendations based on that 1819 SPS and the organizational and financial performance over the entire charter term. The organizational and the financial performance is important because that lets us know how many additional years the school might receive on top of the renewal term length the school would earn based on their letter grade. If a school did not meet the renewal standards using 1819 SPS, they would enter what we are calling our comprehensive evaluation process. We'll dive into what that is in a minute, but after they go through that comprehensive evaluation process, there are 2 tracks on which the school can find itself. First, after comprehensively evaluating all of the data available to us, the LDOE may bring you a recommendation in December for a 3-year conditional renewal based on the results of the comprehensive evaluation. The words conditional renewal are emphasized here because as we just saw in policy and as we're planning to do, if a school is renewed using this pathway, part of their renewal conditions would be a school improvement plan and different levels of increased monitoring based on the results of that comprehensive evaluation. The third pathway a school could potentially take is after they go through that comprehensive evaluation process, if the data bears out that that school does not meet the standards for renewal, the LDOE would recommend that we non-renew the school. At that point, after this board decides in December, if a school is recommended to be closed, they would enter the LDOE's closure process. In terms of our comprehensive evaluation and the monitoring that we just mentioned, what would this look like? The comprehensive evaluation really is us taking all of the data that we have available to us at this time to make a determination about the performance of the school. Importantly, we're going to look at a couple of key aspects. One, the relative performance of these schools compared to both the state, to their parish, and to the local schools in their jurisdiction. Secondly, we're going to compare this school's current performance to their performance over time, most notably their performance in 18-19. For the financial and organizational metrics, these are the same metrics that are aligned to the Charter School Performance Compact. However, we will be digging as deep as we possibly can into those indicators to get a holistic picture and a holistic understanding of the school's performance academically, financially, and organizationally. Based on the results of that comprehensive evaluation, should the LDOE find basis to recommend renewal for the school, they will be placed into an initial monitoring category. The initial monitoring category comes along with a school improvement plan. The school improvement plan, as noted in policy, will be integrated into the terms of the charter contract. And now the reason why that's important is because law and policy states that we are not allowed to renew a school for less than 3 years. However, we also realize that we cannot be making a high-stakes decision at this point with no accountability, no monitoring, and no real checkpoints throughout those next 3 years. What our school improvement plan will allow us to do, after we place a school into initial monitoring, we will have an annual review of our school's performance against the goals that they've outlined in the school improvement plan. As schools continue to stay on track with that school improvement plan, they will continue to operate as they are. However, at a point in time after this annual review, if a school is not on track, they would enter our increased monitoring phase. The increased monitoring phase is one step further, where we place a school on a corrective action plan. The school will be required to contract with a mutually agreed upon third party to further diagnose issues and provide support services. At that point in time, should the school continue to not meet the tenets of both the school improvement plan and then the corrective action plan, then we're having another conversation about the longevity of this school. Essentially, the basis here is to recognize the information that we do have at our disposal, to recognize the high-stakes nature of these decisions, and to understand the fact that this is affecting over 13,000 students across the state after 18 months of what has been honestly disruptive. Given what we had to work with in law and policy, this team, this agency was not comfortable saying anything along the terms of you get a pass, you get a blanket 3-year renewal. We came up with this system to make sure that there are agreed upon checkpoints throughout a charter term, and that these checkpoints actually have some teeth, as outlined by the policy that I mentioned earlier. That we can take these stipulations and we can include that in a charter contract. We can go over that process map again in a second. I know we're going kind of fast, but the next steps from here. The Charter Accountability Team will continue our comprehensive evaluation process. Again, that's a data deep dive that we're talking about, and that includes our renewal site visits that are currently being carried out by the team. We will bring those recommendations back to this board at the December meeting. Based on decisions that this board makes, schools will then enter those 2 pathways that we discussed. We will work with them on their school improvement plans over the second semester. Those school improvement plans will be integrated into the charter operating agreement. Those agreements will then be executed on July 1st. There on the other pathway, we would use this spring semester to work through a closeout process with the school. And with that is the end of our presentation.
Okay. Any comments from the board? Mr. Morris?
Max, could you go back to slide 6, please?
Yes, sir.
triggers to go from one step to the next?
Yes, sir.
Hours, we might towards you.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
You got that, Mike?
Yes, the question was, what would trigger a school to go from initial monitoring to increased monitoring? Kind of going back to the school improvement plan. The school improvement plan that the school will be required to create, that then becomes part of the charter operating agreement, is not only aligned to the CSPC, but it's aligned to the standards that a school must meet at the end of this 3-year term to be renewed. Those will be clear, quantifiable benchmarks that will tell us annually whether or not they're on track to meet that renewal standard at the end of these 3 years. At the point in time that they are not on track to meet those, looking at their internal data, looking at the proficiency data that we'll get from LEAP 2025, looking at next year's or this spring's results, that will tell us whether or not that school is on track. If they're not, they're elevated to the increased. If they are, they maintain this initial monitoring.
So are we saying that it's really a function of what's in your charter, the criteria is in your charter, the performance criteria there? Is that what we're saying?
Yes, sir. We're not actually, this could seem confusing, like we're putting 2 different sets of standards potentially on schools, but we're not. The charter operating agreement is what governs our schools anyway, right? What we will do is, as we're working with schools to create the school improvement plan, those metrics will be aligned to the charter schools performance compact, which already drives our organization behavior. All we're saying is we're saying over 3 years, you need to hit X, Y, and Z. Are you going to hit those targets that's aligned to CSPC, incorporated as part of the contract, as part of that condition? If you're not meeting those standards, then we will take the action that we need to elevate to increase monitoring. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Other questions or comments from the board? We have one public comment. Ms. Sarah Vandergriff. Ms. Vandergriff supports the recommendation and wishes to speak.
Sarah Vandergriff, Louisiana Association of Public Charter Schools. So we support this. Ever since the lockdown happened with COVID, the biggest question, not only from the charter schools themselves, but all asked around the country by different charter school authorizers are, what are we going to do with charter school renewals? Of throwing such a curveball into academic year and stability of schools that everyone across the country recognize it's not fair to just go to the normal way of pre-COVID way of looking at renewal. I'd like to give a lot of credit to the Department of Ed that they have really been doing this homework. This has not been something that they thought about in isolation, just as their own sort of think tank, but instead over the past year, maybe even year plus, they've been working with national associations on these issues. In fact, the National Association for Charter School Authorizers that work with the states from the state perspective to different state associations, as well as they've actually held meetings with the charter schools themselves in the local districts that authorize charter schools. So their plan here is very thought out. I will say we also have a little bit of precedent here in Louisiana because Orleans Parish has done this. Orleans Parish School Board had charter schools up for renewal last year, and they had to quickly figure out what to do. And so they are now in their 2nd year of this process of sort of this comprehensive evaluation. So the idea is just still really looking at, as we remind people, that it's a privilege to operate a charter school. So knowing that we've had historic, again, things that haven't happened in this world in over 100 years, impacting the daily school lives of, is this still a good school for kids? Meaning, are good things happening in this building? Are there being good stewards of public dollars? Is this pretty, like a good, stable environment? And the second question that the Department of Ed always asks, is there another school that does this better? If for some reason this were to close, where would these kids go? So that's still part of their comprehensive evaluation. The problem is right now in COVID, the answer most likely is there's not many other options because everyone's in the same boat. So it's going to be very interesting just to see, the results of the comprehensive evaluation. But again, as I said, Orleans Parish School Board has done this now. They had a very successful record doing it. It was very open, very transparent, very still using objective data points. So what we always fear is that we never want to get into sort of subjective or political determinations, but that they're still rooted in some sort of data. Is this still good learning situation for kids, and are dollars being used well? And compliance too, just are you following all the rules? So we are overall supportive of this process. We support the department bed. And that's it. Thanks.
Great, thank you, ma'am. There being no other comments from the board or the public, there's a motion to receive that I think is on the floor. Any objection to that motion? No objection, the motion passes. Next item, please.
The next item is on page 23, item 2.4, consideration of the discussion and public input regarding BESE authorized charter application proposals submitted in response to the fall 2021 charter school request for applications. The department recommendation is to receive the report from Baton Rouge Discovery Academy, Elite Charterist Academy, Geo Academy 1 through 3, Kenilworth Science and Technology Academy, Louisiana Key Academy North Shore, Madison Academy of Innovation, and Vermillion Charter Academy.
Great. May I get a motion to receive? Motion from President Holloway, seconded by Mr. Garvey. Dr. Brumley?
Yes, sir. Members of the board, this is a new process for the board to experience. What we were hoping to accomplish with this, and what we hope we do accomplish, is to provide our applicants for charters the opportunity in advance of decision day to have an opportunity to introduce themselves to you, introduce their school concept to you, and so you can have a sense of who they are, what they stand for, what they're trying to accomplish before we're all here together in a couple of months making a determination around whether to award them a charter. And so that's what we're going to go through today. Each school will have up to 5 minutes just to give some verbal remarks around their school and what they're hoping to accomplish. Max, I believe Christine Barker on your team also is here to share a little bit around where we are in the process right now. And then after Ms. Barker, then we'll go ahead and go into the presentations from the various schools.
President Holloway.
I have a question in regards to the application process. Is there any way that board members can receive the applications? We don't have any on hand to know what these schools are applying for, the focus of each charter. Can you receive?
Yeah, we can try to get you some information following this meeting.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And Steve Barker, the Executive Director for Portfolio Opportunities. We will also make all of the applications available online by the end of the week as well. But we'll make sure that we send those out. So as Superintendent Brumley said, per Bulletin 126, our policy is that prior to approving a charter for type 2, 4, or 5 school, BESE shall hold a public meeting for the purpose of considering the proposal and receiving public input. So the process is currently underway. We have 7 applicants that will be presenting today. Their applications are under review through our internal review team, as well as our independent third-party contractor who's reviewing all applications. The purpose of these presentations is to receive public input prior to the superintendent recommendations that will be coming to the board in the January meeting. The presentations will be happening in alphabetical order. I'm assuming you call folks up in the order that they are. Is there any other questions?
Great. Any other questions from the board before we go to the presentations? Dr. Davis.
So when we see the words experienced and new operator, what does it take to be experienced and have been in operation for some set number of years?
Yes, so we have 3 different application tracks. So there's new operator, experienced operator, and then we have a virtual operator track, which is a specific application just for virtual schools. This cycle we don't have any of those, so there's either new operator or experienced. Experienced operator is either the team that is forming the charter school is experienced with 3 or more years operating a charter school, or the actual entity itself is replicating and adding another school. So like a charter management organization adding another school. Thank you.
I have another. I'm sorry. I have another question in regards to, similar to what Dr. Davis has asked. In the document, it states that there's recommendations for 2, 4, 5. How do we know if these are applying for 2, 4, or 5?
All the applicants this year are type 2.
Noted somewhere.
Great, any other questions or comments from board members? All right, seeing none, we'll start with first our presentations. We'll start with item 2. First school rather, Baton Rouge Discovery Academy. That's item 2.4A. And as you folks come up, if you would identify yourself and first of all identify who the speaker on behalf of the school will be, so that we'll have a roadmap for your presentation. And then afterwards, we'll have public comment with respect to each school so that we can clear out schools and presenters, and if they wish to leave, they may do so. Sure, and if you haven't already done so, make sure you fill out the public comment card. That said, we'll go ahead and get started with the first presentation. Again, please introduce yourselves for the record, and you may proceed.
Good afternoon. I'm Diane Glazer, the founding CEO of the Discovery School. That's not working.
That one doesn't, on that table, I'm sorry. Yes.
Good afternoon. Let's see, here we go.
There we go.
I'm Dr. Patty Glazer, the founding CEO of Discovery Schools. I've been opening schools in the greater New Orleans area since 1994. We are hashtag Discovery Proud and ready to replicate in Baton Rouge as a Type 2 charter, opening Discovery education opportunities for students in and around the Baton Rouge area. Discovery was founded in 2013 and in 2018 was awarded a 10-year renewal due to excellent academic performance, strong school culture, robust subgroup performance, and sound fiscal responsibility. With our increasingly large wait list and the support of our partner, Ochsner Health, and our authorized Jefferson Parish Schools, we replicated and opened Dr. John Ochsner in 2020. Discovery currently educates 2,767 diverse students with 324 employees with retention rates of both exceeding 96%. With assistance from our partners, New Schools for Baton Rouge, we worked tediously last year on a 5-year strategic plan to prepare our organization to open and successfully operate an Ochsner Baton Rouge Discovery Charter School. In keeping with our shared leader practice, you'll now hear from the key team members.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Jesse Watson, founding principal at Kenner Discovery Health Sciences Academy, our first school in Kenner, Louisiana. We began to open our Ochsner Baton Rouge Discovery Campus in August 2023, serving scholars in grades pre-K through 4, and eventually growing into a K through 8th grade site. We'll be ready to expand to a high school based on community demand. We have established a formal partnership with Ochsner Health, which is the largest employer in the state of Louisiana. At Discovery Schools, we focus on health science, integrated curriculum. We offer a rigorous yet supportive learning environment for all scholars. It includes science labs, project-based learning, and preparing our students for allied health science career options. Discovery Schools does not require an admissions test for our students prior to enrollment. Our hard tenets are honor, endurance, academic achievement, responsibility, and tolerance. Our strong culture has been established since 2013, and which continues to grow each day and with processes that are second to none. Ochsner Baton Rouge Discovery will be a great educational opportunity for scholars and families in Baton Rouge and in the greater Baton Rouge area.
Good afternoon, my name is Natalie Newton. I've served in many roles with Discovery Schools over the past 9 years, but I'm here to speak as my most important role as a parent, a founding parent. Discovery is very well known for educating all kinds of owls. My kids started in kindergarten and 2nd grade. They are now 8th and 10th. My oldest son was, I was told he was bored in his previous school, but did not qualify for advanced studies. Today he is a student athlete. He takes honors courses. He's a 2nd-time state science fair finalist. He's anything but bored. At Discovery, my youngest son experienced some trauma during childbirth. He was identified for special education services through Discovery Intervention. And he is thriving. He is the first child at the gate in the morning. Taking that leap of faith 9 years ago and having the choice of Discovery Schools is one of the best decisions I have ever made for my family. I hope to see it continue for other families.
Good afternoon. My name is Ronnie Sloan. I'm hailing to you from 5309 Ford Street, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Lived in Zion City, graduated from Glen Oaks High School and attended Southern University. My specialty is organizational development and training. As a founding member of the board, we are stewards. We're stewards of the various aspects of our school, but we're also bring to the table a lot of expertise. We've been advocates for public education for decades, and we believe in time, talent, and treasure, but we do focus on governance. With that said, we also have professional development, and that's a much needed item that covers not only technology, but relationships and communications, and it drills down to our students.
Don Lee, I'm the CFO of Discovery Schools. Our schools, our overall schools, Kenner Discovery, the original school, is financially stable at this point and has cash reserves and cash surplus. Our brand new school, which opened last year, Dr. John Octor Discovery School, also has a cash surplus at the end of its first year and ran a surplus. So we're confident we can invest that money.
Great, thank you. In keeping with my earlier comments, I take any public comments with respect to the particular school. We have Allison Sherry, S-H-A-R-A-I. And she wishes to speak and she supports the recommendation.
Everyone needs to fill out a card on the back if you spoke right now.
Hi, my name is Allison Sherry. I'm Assistant Director of Education and Community Affairs at Oxner Health, and I want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you all today. Oxner believes that equitable access to public education for every child and every student has a direct impact on their health outcomes and the health outcomes of entire communities. Our unique partnership with Discovery, that of a health system and an open enrollment, high-performing public charter school, has allowed us to have the opportunity to reach that goal for students across Southeast Louisiana. Since 2013, Oxner and Discovery have partnered through STEM education programs, teacher professional development, and career readiness programs. We have watched the successful growth of this school and the continued high achievement. Since its founding, Discovery has generated incredible results for its students and garnered remarkable interest from families in our communities. We believe in their mission to provide a rigorous learning environment where students achieve academically, develop intellectual curiosity, and explore health and science topics and careers. Discovery is consistently ranked as a top-tier school. Regarding this expansion, we see this as an extension of a meaningful partnership between Oxner, Discovery, and the communities it serves. The Discovery School concept allows us to hone, grow future healthcare professionals and healthy citizens of our community. The experienced leadership team Discovery delivers allows for an innovative, accountable model of education. Discovery students will be college and career ready. Together, we will help our children experience what it means to be in health sciences while effectively preparing them for incredible new career opportunities in science, technology, engineering, math, liberal arts, and everything else that comes our way in the future. With all that said, let me emphatically let you know that we at Oxner continue to fully support Discovery Schools. We support this expansion, and we would love to continue to be a partner at the table with them. Thank you for your time.
Great, thank you very much. Any other comments with respect to the Discovery Schools application? Or Mr. Garvey?
Yes, I'd like to speak in favor of this school. In the 30 years that I've been involved in education, public education in Jefferson Parish, I have never seen an issue ignite the enthusiasm of the public and in particular the business groups in Jefferson Parish like this school has. And I'll give you just one brief example of that and take it and apply it 10 times. And you'll get an idea of what the school has done. I'm a member of the Jefferson Business Council. And that is a group of the 50 or so largest employers in Jefferson Parish. And this group really likes to hold on to its money, and it has never seen a tax that it liked. But because of this school, when Jefferson Parish school system went to the public to raise taxes for teacher pay raises, the Jefferson Business Council raised money to pay for advertisements to support that tax. I never would have thought I would ever see that happen. And the biggest reason that it did happen, one reason was because Dr. Bromley was the superintendent at the time. But I would say the biggest reason was because of this charter school and the connection and excitement that they have initiated between them, the public school system, and the business community. So that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Garvey. Any additional comments from board members? Mr. Morris.
Thank you, Mr. Castillo. I had two questions, and Mr. Garvey might have answered one of them. Looking at the handout, I'm just extremely impressed with the 97% faculty retention rate. So given the career pathway these students are on, and curious about how you're able to recruit teachers and retain them in this pathway. I'm assuming there's some sort of special criteria for these faculty members. So just in general, what's your secret to a 97% retention rate?
We interview well, and we do get a lot of applicants. Discovery is known as a good place to work, and we pride ourselves in that. And we really try to take care of our teachers. Mrs. Sloan mentioned about professional development. We try to help them make the next step about certification, master's degree, whatever it is they want to pursue professionally. In shared leadership, as Bob of us spoke, I don't make singular decisions, and the faculty really feels they have a voice. So I think that's all part of it.
So the second part of the question along the same line is, where do you guys expect to get faculty from for this new school? Where do you expect to recruit those folks from?
Dr. Watson is helping us.
Thank you for the question. So, one thing about Discovery, just being a high-performing, high-demand school, that, it's a tough sell, to work at a great place. We are looking at, next steps, if it's marketing specifically to different areas to make sure that the word is out about Discovery, and we're looking forward to that response. It hasn't been an issue in the past for us. We don't anticipate that being a big issue for us.
Basically, you guys have built the brand and you're working on your brand, how your brand sells.
And we have a year of planning to make sure that it happens. So we did your meeting yesterday.
Absolutely. We've been meeting with area colleges, most recently, the Southern universities, the School of Education, to talk about partnerships and things to make sure that we're in the community and we're hiring individuals from the community, because that's what it's about, the community. And we're looking forward to making it into this area.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other comments, President Howard?
Thank you for a great presentation. My question here is that understanding partnerships with the school and a business, and you have ushers partnering with you. Do you have the availability for ushers to have a higher percentage of their children or the workers' children in your school? How does that enrollment work with partnership?
In line with the charter corporate law that is on the books now, at Dr. John Ochsner employees can have 50% of the seats in the school. And so it would be similar to Baton Rouge charter. And again, we're open enrollment. We have lots of applicants to our school, and we make sure we meet all of the state guidelines that are required, but Oxford employees will have a preference in the lottery.
Thank you.
Okay. Board members? Mr. Garvey.
Yeah, let me ask for a clarification. The Osner employees will have a preference in the lottery, but only up to the 50% mark, correct?
Yes.
Oh, the 50% is
Thank you, Mr. Carter.
just the public.
Yes, it's the public, yes.
Great. Any more questions, comments? Seeing none, Dr. Lady Watson, thank you for your presentation. And you are free to stay and hang around, or you're free to go as well. All right, next up we have Elite Charter Academy, Thrive Community Enrichment and Development Corporation is the nonprofit. Same as before, ladies, if you would, when you take a seat, please identify yourself for our records so that we'll know who you are. And we'll let you proceed from there.
Thank you.
They have to share the mic.
My name is Dr. Mary DeVoe. I am the principal of the Elite Charter Academy.
Good afternoon. My name is Darth Esther Hall. I am the board chair of the Thrive Community Enrichment and Development Corporation for Elite Charter Academy. Our mission is where average is not tolerated, but superior is the standard. At Elite Charter Academy, every stakeholder will receive superior customer satisfaction at all levels, maintain high expectations, build positive relationships, promote an environment where all children will feel accepted and secure, and teach students how to develop a growth mindset to achieve through hard work, good strategies, and accepting input from others. The new school environment we propose will specifically address the proven educational disparities that exist in our parish's schools toward economically disadvantaged minority students. We seek to establish a foundation for future leaders to achieve the highest level of social, cultural, academic, and emotional success. Our focus is to bridge the learning gap, primarily for these students, expose them to positive social experiences, and broaden their vision with opportunities that will inspire them to become global lifelong leaders. Our culture will be caring, supportive, reflective, and focused on promoting effective communication between all stakeholders. Students will be taught to respect the diversity of all cultures introduced to them through the school experience. Elite will execute trauma-informed care through social and emotional support. And now we'll turn it over to Dr. DeVoe, our school leader.
Our school learning model is the gradual release learning model, compared with using collaboration and differentiated instruction. What is the gradual release learning model? It is better known as the principle of instruction developed by Rosenshine. It is a style of teaching which is a structured method of pedagogy and framework around process developing responsibility with the learning. And it also has worked in different other states. And the different other states that it has worked in has been in Texas, has been in New York, Montana, and Iowa. How does it work? The gradual learning model works as we do, where the teacher has total group instruction. I do, where the students collaboratively will work on an example on their own, and then you do, where is the assessment portion and component of the learning model where the student works alone, and this is where the teacher can find out whether or not the student has successfully captured what was being taught, and if not, the teacher can go on and use a different type of a strategy to reteach. The gradual learning model has been primarily used in our dynamics that we're having, that we're planning on capturing here in our culture. We have had our community involvement that has came to us and has asked for us to use some type of a educational program where we can close the achievement gap. We have had church town hall meetings, we've had block parties, and we've canvassed neighborhoods to get our enrollment. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you, ladies. Questions, comments from the board? All right, we have one. Ms. Lawrence?
Yeah, I'm just intrigued by your learning model. You mentioned that it's used in 4 other states. The student-teacher ratio, is there anything special there?
Our teacher ratios that we're planning on doing is having a teacher and a para in the classroom where if the teacher is missing or absent that day, then the para will be able to step in and keep instructions going on. We are hoping that it's a 1 to 15.
And another question was, I appreciate the value that you bring here with the opportunity for school choice. I'm just curious, why would a parent choose your school relative to an alternative school in your area?
A parent would choose our school because of what we planning on doing. We're also having a STEM program, we're having foreign language programs, and what we're also doing is we're having a model that with the gradual release learning model, it is where we're teaching children that they are going to be responsible for their learning, and the teacher will be just the facilitator where the children will work in groups and pairs, and that will, sometimes children will learn better when they have a shared pair situation going on than just having an adult just trying to teach with them. And so that is a model that we think would assist our kids in becoming better learners and being responsible for their own learning.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Cassidy.
Great, thank you, Mr. Morris. President Holloway.
Thank you, ladies, for your presentation. Can you, developing a charter school is very hard. It's a lot of work. How long have you been with this initiative, working together to develop the charter school?
It's going on 3 years that we've had groups where we have our board that's already developed and other teachers working along with us to develop and to write the application.
And you feel that there is a great demand?
Yes, ma'am. We have at this time with the different town hall meetings that we've had, canvassing the neighborhoods and different sororities and fraternity organizations that have helped us. We have over 300 students that have signed up thus far.
And what is your projected startup enrollment?
270.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Any other questions, comments from the board? We have 2 public comment cards. Here I have Dr. Janet Hope, who wishes to speak and offer information only. Dr. Hope?
Janet Poe, Louisiana School Boards Association. Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to speak.
You said out of mic, please.
Thank you, Janet Poe, Louisiana School Boards Association. Thank you for the opportunity to allow me to speak before the rest of the charter applicants come up to provide comment. First, I just wanted to say that the Louisiana School Boards Association supports local autonomy as one of our guiding principles. In considering the applications for the Type 2 charter school, we ask that as a board, you take into consideration the rationale and the decision of the local school boards that previously rejected some of these applications. BESE can demonstrate its support for local autonomy and innovation by supporting local school systems in their decision. For charter applications that were not previously vetted by a local school system, it's our understanding that Madison was not previously brought to the school board and to the school system or to their community. We ask that BESE consider carefully whether the charter school is set to offer something different and unique that is not being provided or planned to be provided by the local school system. Also, too, as a reminder, our local school systems also provide choice, and our school systems coming forward for public comment will also talk about their individual choice aspects in their district. You'll be hearing probably from Calcasieu about the vetting out there. That application process, also St. Tammany, who's in an A school system, and Vermillion, who is a school system. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you, Dr. Pope. Yes,
May I get
Yes.
some clarification, Ms. Pope, on what you indicated with Madison did you say did not appear, or?
It's our understanding that they did not appear before their school board, and I would yield to their new superintendent for clarification.
Okay, we'll just get clarification. Thank you.
Great. All right, thank you. Next up, we have Shannon LaFord. Opposes the recommendation, wishes to speak. Please state your name and affiliation. Please proceed.
Sure, Shannon LaFard, Chief Academic Officer, Calcasieu Parish School System. Shannon LaFard, Chief Academic Officer, Calcasieu Parish School System. Appreciate the opportunity to speak today. We definitely appreciate this process. As a representative of the school system, I'm here to give you a brief summary of the Elite Charter Academies application for a Type 1 charter. Calcasieu Parish, they did come before the board. We had an independent third party review the application, the framework, the evaluation rubric, and the performance compact. The review noted many deficiencies with the quality standards. The majority of the standards were noted as further development needed and does not meet the standard as noted in our review. The staff's recommendation at that point to the full board was to deny the charter application. The board then subsequently voted 14-2 to deny the charter application. Again, that's information. We thank you for your time.
Right, thank you, sir. Any additional comments either from the public or from the board with respect to Elite Charter Academy? Seeing, hearing none, we'll go to our next school. Thank you, ladies. You're welcome to stay, or you're free to go. Next up, we have Geo Academies. Item C on the agenda. And folks, as you come up, same thing. Make sure we have comment cards filled out for each speaker. The presentation will be timed at 5 minutes. Please identify yourself and your affiliation with the school.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Madam President.
Is your microphone on?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Madam President of the board, and members of the board. It is a pleasure to be here to talk about one of my favorite things, and that is the GO school. Let me introduce some of the people who are with me today. On our board, we have Dr. Tamara Wigg, Dr. Linda Fagnot, Deputy Chief Magarna, and we've hired the GO management company, because we have a management company that actually runs and helps us to operate our schools. And that's the GEO Foundation. And with us today, we have Kevin Teasley and Dana Teasley, who work very closely with us on this. Our schools show, we have 3 schools right now in Baton Rouge. We earned 100% accountability at all 3 of our schools, GEO Prep, Mid-City, and our Next Generation High School. Our annual student re-enrollment rate was 85.3 at the Prep and 73 for Mid-City in 2018 and 2019. Our school leadership has been terrific. I think we have one of the better models. Sandra Douglas believes in grooming and growing her staff. She started off as the principal, Sandra Douglas. She's now the chief academic officer, but she grew the person who took her place, and that's Shalon Clay. GEO academics routinely show strong financial and compliance with 100% green light. We have not had any audits that showed anything but being clean audits. And that is because Dana Teasley is a lawyer and an accountant, and she keeps very good track of the records. And the records come to you, Mr. Superintendent, here in the department. Student performance, our schools have earned an overall performance of C, with A's for growth and our high school progress grades of A and B. Indeed, our state has teamed them top gang schools. We started our school back with 160 kids. We now have an enrollment of over 2,000, around 2,700. We have a high school, which we did not have when we first started. We started with a 9th grade high school, and we are in 9-11 right now. The most important thing about our high schools for me, and it is the main reason, so that our students, and if you are a minority, and if you are a minority like me, who had never been on a college campus until I went as a freshman, then it is a good opportunity for our students to go while they're in high school. They take the courses that they're taking on the BRCC campus. The result of that is today we have 37 students who we call the originals, meaning they started with us and they've been attending our high school and they started in our elementary school. We have earned a total of 510 college credits, and they're in their first semester of their junior year. That's an average of 14 college credits each, with 2 students who have already earned 36 college credits. 1 has earned 27, 2 have earned 21. We have a current enrollment of GEO Next Generation High School of 310 students, and 76 of these, even during this pandemic, and with all of the things that have gone on, we are still sending and taking and transporting and paying for everything for these students to be up at BRCC, and we have 76 of them right now there. Our goal is to have a large percentage. My personal goal for the board is that over 25% of our students end up with an associate degree when they come out of high school. Because that, to me, allows you to make the next move in your life, which is if you decide you want a 4-year degree. Also, we are engaged, our students are engaged in credentialing programs too, but the bigger portion of the children taking college level courses are taking them with the liberal arts curriculum, and so they're designed to go on to college. Ms. Douglas will probably give you some additional information that y'all have. Oh, yeah.
She has 2 slides.
I liked it better when you held up a yellow card or a red card, because I can ignore that.
Ms. Douglas, would you like to say anything?
Pretty much said it all. Good afternoon. I just want to add just, I guess, one little side note. I did start as an accounting principal back in 2015 with 160 kids, and we had just lots of growth in these 5 years, because we've been on board now for about 5 years. And I'd just like to say, I'm all about academics. I just feel that all children should have a quality education, and that's what I stand for, and that's what we're pushing in our schools. And so when you see the application, you see all the models, since I don't have time to talk about all that now, but our model and how we're getting it done. What I'm most proud of is the fact that we have made such growth, yet we've been able to keep our performance score up. And that means a lot to me.
Great, thank you. Ms. Morris?
Thank you. So first of all, I just really appreciate your passion for educating kids in the community. And also, I know that the vision you have with dual enrollment and your relationship with URCC. So I don't have read all the background of your proposal yet, but I'm curious what grades you plan on applying for, and what the relationship would be with those students as they progress through the continuum and they get to that high school level. And if you plan on any kind of relationship with these new schools you're opening, with eventually with the RCC.
Absolutely, we want the students who are in Baker, because Baker is where we're applying for, that when those students get to ninth grade, that they will have the same opportunity to go to BRCC and take the courses. So that's the basis of what we're trying to do. Also, if we start in Baker with the K-3 configuration, and if we add a high school, right now at our 3 schools we have some children who already live in the Baker area because we're type 2, and so they come to our school. Well, it would be great if they could also live in their community and go to our school.
Okay, so the school proposal is in Baker, you plan on opening up K through 3 or pre-K through 3?
Pre-K, kindergarten, yeah, kindergarten.
Okay, and then just real, this is a few years in advance, but I'm just curious about logistics. How are you going to get those kids from Baker all the way to the RCC?
Well, we actually, right now, we have kids who leave Sherwood Forest and go to BRCC, because that's where our high school is, and we transport them. We have a van that transports them. And it's almost like, I guess you could say like a bus system that goes, because they all don't go at the same time. So it's a scheduling nightmare, but it does happen.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President.
Great. President Hawker?
Thank you. Miss Linda, you're like Wonder Woman. And she is a former board member here, and I appreciate
I don't envy y'all,
Thank you. But thank you for your great works. I need clarity. Can you tell us the enrollment number in Baker District? How many students?
The Baker District School has around a little over 1,000 students, and then there are 2 charters up there, and I haven't looked at the numbers here lately, but I think it's probably around 300 each, somewhere in that neighborhood.
All right, so there's a district operating with 1,000, maybe 1,200 kids, and then there are 2 charters already in the district. Whatever their enrollment is, I'm not sure, but let's say around 400. The question I have here, I'm not quite sure if I'm understanding correctly about GEO opening up. In our board docs, board members, and this is where I want to clarify, it shows 3 schools that you are opening.
2 K3 and 1 high school.
2 K3 and 1 high school. It's not clear, there's no clarity in this document that we have in our hands.
Yeah, okay, I'm confused in it, because we started off talking about K3, K1, then K8, then the high school.
K1, K8, and then you want to do a high school. All 3 charters in Baker District.
Yes.
Is that what I'm hearing?
That's correct. Kevin.
It seems like Kevin
is the management, and actually, he along with some, together this application, so I think you better speak to it than me.
Sorry for the confusion. They're going to open up 2 K1 schools, move to slow growth to K8. So grow 1 grade a year until we get to 8th grade, and then we'll open the high school. The high school will not open right away. It'll open several years from now.
What is your app requesting?
It's requesting 3 charters, 2 K-8 and 1 high school, with the high school opening eventually once we get to the 9th grade.
Do you have the manpower, lady power, to be able to open 3 charter schools in this district with 1,000 heads?
Well, I think the important thing is this is a type 2, and we will be drawing students not just from Baker, but from northern Baton Rouge Parish, Zachary, and various other districts in the area.
Thank you for clarifying that, but I think the department, Dr. Crowley, that this needs to be indicated to where we truly understand that they're asking for 3 schools, but what are those 3 schools? Because I just noted that. I thought it was 1, but now I'm getting it. I got it.
Just something else, Ms. Holloway. Educators seem to like the GEO model to the point where they actually want to be at the school. Recruiting has not been a major issue in terms of manpower. And I think it's because of the model and because of the leadership and all of the things that go along with it. And we haven't had real turnover on that.
If I could add, this is basically replicating what we currently have. When we first started and got approval from BESE in 2013-14, it was for 3 charters. We essentially have 2 K-8s right now in Baton Rouge. So we have Geo Academy and then Geo Mid-City, and then the high school was to grow out of that. So it's essentially a replication of the initial charter that was already approved by this board in 2013-14.
So did you turn in 3 different applications?
No. In 2013-14, we turned in 1 application asking for 3 charters. It's essentially a network.
And what about this time, in 2021?
This is 1 application with 3 charters in it, and you have 3 budgets and 3 plans.
So I would ask Max, if you don't mind, to clarify all this, or whoever works with this. For example, the 7 schools that you've listed, if we would have the school name, but what grade level are they asking for, that would help a whole lot. Because we don't have the application in front of us to even know what that is.
Absolutely, I can also, as folks come to the table, I can explain that too. But yes, so this is, as Mr. Cheesley said, 1 application for 3 schools. So it's reviewed together as a holistic model for all 3 schools. And the 2 K through 8 and then 1 high school.
Mr. Morris.
Yeah, I had a question following Ms. Holloway's question as well. Is what's being presented to the board an all or nothing? Or is there a scenario that one of the 3 would get approved? I'm trying to understand that they all come together as a package, as a model, and it's either all or nothing, or is there a case where the board would consider one individual school in the best interest of the students?
So that would be at the discretion of the board. The review that will come from the independent review team, our contractor, will be 1 recommendation, but that would be at the discretion of the board as far as how many to approve.
Yeah, so I appreciate the department's response, but I really want to hear from the presenting team because it's their model, right? So I'm really trying to get a better appreciation for, this model that you guys have obviously been successful with already. Are you coming back and you're saying, hey, this is our model, that's the way we're presenting it, and it's all or nothing? Or does your model work with just 1 school?
When we first started, the 160 years, we had the 3 that were approved by BESE. When BESE decided that the mid-city campus that existed at that time was no longer performing like it should, we already had an application that allowed us to be the new people running the mid-city charter because it was already here. And we had that opportunity. And so that's how we got the mid-city, because we had a K-3 model immediately because of something that was going on with that particular charter at the time. We had an application that was approved, that would allow us to have the K-8. And that's how we got that. So, and then it was always the intent to have a high school, because that was part of it. So that's, and I think that is, for us, that has been successful. And it is what we would like to put in place to make.
Right. Any other questions, comments from the board? Mr. Garvey?
Yeah, Ms. Johnson, I think you mentioned this already. Since the issue came up about manpower and your ability to have enough manpower, womanpower to get this job done, am I understanding it right that these schools, you already said the high school would not start in year one, so that's not the manpower issue. The other two schools would start not as full K through 8 right off the bat, it would be K through 1 or 3,
And then add
so it would be much less of a manpower issue than if you would start them all at once.
And we have people right now, because we also work with the school of Baton Rouge, we also have a person in training to be the principal of the school. And there are some people who are, our model has two adults in the classroom. So we have people, I just put it that way.
Well, that's really worked because we have a teacher and a TA. We've been able to groom TAs to become teachers, especially with our exponential growth. You know, that has tremendously helped us because they start off as TAs and then after a year or two, we see that potential in them for a teacher position and then move up to a teacher.
And you also mentioned the possibility of having children from the northern Baton Rouge go to this school if you were to have it open. Do you already have children in your schools that are from northern Baton Rouge?
Yes, all over. We have quite a few from Macon.
But northern Baton Rouge in particular, that this school would be closer to their home than your current schools are?
Yes, most
So that would be a natural fit for them to go into the school. What about from other parishes? You mentioned Zachary, but are there any other parishes a likely draw for you to have students come from those parishes into your Baker school?
Yeah. We think
East Louisiana
and North Baton Rouge would probably be the two areas where the possible growth would come. EBR North would probably be where the most significant growth would come from, just because we would be so close to them.
Thank you.
Yes.
One more question,
Go right
please. Either Ms. Johnson or Ms. Dolores, I'm sorry.
Douglas.
Ms. Douglas. Walk me through, if you were approved today, walk me through your startup. What does it look like? Because we're looking at 3 schools. What does it look like come August 23?
Only one in August 22.
And it would be K1.
We will start 2 schools in grades K and 1. So most likely be sharing the same building until we will have 2 principals. Right now we have, Ms. Johnson just shared, we have a principal training right now, along with an assistant principal. The assistant principal will be planning to be the principal once we get the 2 schools up and running and then separated. So we will actually have two schools in 1 building, roughly 200 students per grade level combined. So 2 100-student kindergarten, 2 100-student first graders. They'll be in 1 building, and then when they get to a capacity, that's when they'll split into 2 buildings, and that's when the assistant principal becomes the principal of the new school. We try to get to K-8, we try to get to slow growth, we try to get economy of scale by not spending a whole lot of money on buildings, and we try to bring it all together.
Let's go back to start out. August 22, you start out with K and
Kindergarten,
K1.
first grade. Yes.
K1. August 23,
We'll go to 2nd grade.
K to 2nd, 2 schools.
Yep. And then
August
3rd.
25, you can roll up to 3rd.
Yes.
When does high school come into the picture?
8 years from now, 9 years from now. That was the difficult part, if you want to know the honest truth about writing this application to include high school, because we're not actually starting high school until 9 years from now. So it's K through 8 is what we're asking, but we're starting with K1, and then we'll grow a grade a year. We wanted to be in position, because our model is a K-12 model, but it is slow growth. So for instance, if you talk about reality, Geo Prep started out with just K2, and then or K3. And then we went to 4th grade, and then we added 5th grade, and then at that point, the state asked us to take Mid-City, which was actually a K8. And we took all of K8 as a turnaround school, not a charter application, but it was a turnaround. So, and then we jump-started the high school. So that's where we are. Dynamic process.
Dr. Davis.
This is just a point of clarification for in the future, because I know we're going to have a more robust and in-depth discussion of all of these, but Gio did mention the idea that they've had clean audits with no financial issues. So I need an understanding about why they're listed as like a 3rd consecutive year of ATP for compliance when we looked at the Administration and Finance Committee. So that maybe because they're like, this is something that's not really seen as a clean audit. Like, I don't know all the accounting lingo, but I'd just like an explanation about what exactly that, the 3 years of violations were, so I can make sure they're financially sound. Thank you.
That's it.
My name is Amy Teasley, and I serve as the business officer for the school. I think that's a really great question. What you're looking at right there actually stems from GeoPrep Academy and their very early years. You heard us mention that they started at only 150 students. Yeah, so if you go back to their very early years, their fund balance was very low, and so that's kind of a cumulative effect. We looked at it, talked to the board, and we actually made a conscious decision. We actually held that fund balance down. You can either keep very high cash reserves in your very early years, and that's great, but then you look really good on paper, and you don't have the resources that you need for students in the classroom, particularly in the early years. So for the first 3 years for GeoPrep Academy, its fund balance did not meet the requirements under the financial compact. So that's what happened. It took a few years to dig out of that. Right now, the fund balance is very strong. None of the schools have ever had a modified opinion. None of the schools have ever had an issue with findings on audits. They've all met timeliness requirements for turning in AFER, for turning in all of the budgets and that sort of thing. And so those have all been very strong. But early issues, that's what that was.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Great. Any other questions, comments from the board? Thank you all so much. We look forward to seeing you again in the future.
Thank you all so much for allowing us to come and make this presentation.
All right, next we have Kenilworth Science and Technology Academy. Same procedure as before. Please come forward. Make sure you completed a comment card so that we'll have that for the record. Identify yourself with your name and your affiliation with the applicant.
Okay, hello members of the board and Superintendent Dr. Bromley. My name is Hazel Regis and I am the current principal at Kenilworth Science and Technology. I've also been at Kenilworth since its existence in 2009. Kenilworth is currently a 6th through 8th grade charter school serving students here in East Baton Rouge Parish. We are here today because we want to expand our grade level configuration from 3 short middle school years with our students to include elementary school grades to work with students at an earlier point in their academic careers. We believe as a K-8 charter school, we will be able to show exponential growth with students. Since our beginning as a Title V charter in 2009, we have shown incredible academic growth. We currently have a B progress index, and if you refer to graphic 1, you can see our comparable progress index is not only higher than the district average, but also is above the state average. Furthermore, year after year, we outperform comparable middle schools. If you look at graphic 2, based on our 2018-2019 SBS score, we ranked 4th in the state among comparable middle schools statewide. In addition to our academic performance, research data supports the K-8 model to increase student academic and social success. Jefferson Parish recently studied the effects of K-8 model versus the traditional model and found that schools with a K-8 model had an academic index about 20 points higher on average than traditional middle schools. Finally, our school community wants to enroll their children with us starting at kindergarten. We have had parents ask us continuously to expand our grade levels, and in a recent survey, we had 87% of current parents who currently have elementary students that are interested in sending their children to Kenilworth Elementary School. Feel free to refer to the back of our handout for more information about the Type 2 applications. We believe if we can show rapid growth with students in just 3 short years, we can only imagine the success our students would achieve if we had an opportunity to start with the students in kindergarten. Thank you so much.
Okay, any other comments, presentation?
Hello, my name is Lauren Allen. I'm the Director of Community Affairs, and I'll just be here to help with some questions.
Great. Just as a reminder, this is as part of the new process, an introduction to the applicants, so we appreciate all of the schools making a brief presentation and entertaining brief questions from the board. Questions from the board, Dr. Davis.
Just one, so you mentioned earlier that all of these are type 2 charters this year, but Kenilworth is a type 5. So does that mean that they came before the East Baton Rouge Parish School Board originally and now they're coming to add? And so is their score from here on out going to be a middle school score and then a K-5 score? And if it's not going to be separate, how are we doing that legally?
Yeah, so currently Kenilworth is a type 5 charter school, and so they're applying as an experienced operator, but for a brand new charter school as a type 2. And yes, they did apply through the East Baton Rouge Parish School Board, and they're here as an appeal then from being denied through that process. So it would be, if this were approved, it would be accountability starting over for the school.
And so there would be 2 scores for this, right? So they would have a middle school SPS and then an elementary school SPS because how can they be a combination if they're a 5 and a 2? We can't, there's not anything in the law about combining them, is there?
Right, and you guys can clarify if you'd like, but they would relinquish the type 5 charter and be just a type 2 charter school.
Exactly. So our intention is not to open an additional school. We're not trying to grow and double the size of our current student population that we serve. We just have recognized over the past 10 plus years that the model that serves students best is that K-8 model. And as a type 5, we can't just add grades on. It's not a possibility. And so the easiest route to do that is to go through the type 1, type 2 process. And so that's why we're here today with a type 2 with the intention of turning in that type 5 charter. If we were to in turn get a type 2, we would not keep 2 charters.
Thank you.
Great. President Holloway.
Yes. I have to commend you for your thought process, reflecting, engaging in this type of conversation to realize that to improve your scores as much as you have, that you need to dig deep into that K-5. And so I really, really think that is the route to go. So the question here is that, in my understanding, that your enrollment remains the same and that you're going to expand K-8.
Yes.
So talk to me about how is it in the same building?
So it's for the enrollment numbers, the enrollment would not be exponentially larger. We're not asking for doubling the size of our school. We would in turn downsize the size of our middle school and decrease those numbers. So currently we have, if you look at it, we have 6 sections in each grade. So instead of serving 6 sections, which we had previously had 8 or 9 sections, it's hard for middle school age, that's a lot of kids. And we learned that downsizing that already has been beneficial to our students. And so instead, our goal would be to have 2 sections per grade. So as we slow grow up, we would also slow grow, shrinking our middle school size. So we wouldn't all of a sudden shrink it that first year. The current 6th, 7th, and 8th graders would move their way up, and we would decrease as we go down. And then, what was the second part of your question? I've already lost track.
I don't know, but I'm just listening.
What is your enrollment number?
Our current enrollment number is around 400.
400. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Very good number. Okay.
I apologize, I don't remember the first part of the question. If you think of it, let me know.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, President Holloway. Mr. Morris.
Appreciate your presentation and also just again to piggyback on Ms. Holloway's comments that you guys recognize the incremental value for students with the K-8 program as opposed to the middle school model. And I might be wrong here, Superintendent, but I understand that you have some experience with this too. And I'm just curious, you know, if you could share some of your experience with us as schools in your district went from that middle school model to that expanded K-8 runway. Yeah, thanks, Mr. Morris. I can't make a statewide comment on that, but I can share my personal experience in my previous system. We saw that students in grades 6, 7, and 8 in a K-8 model school outperformed students in grades 6, 7, and 8 in a traditional middle school in our system alone by 25 points on leap, and had a greater daily attendance rate, had less discipline or focus. And we think it had to do with a number of things. One, smaller groups at that really interesting level of middle grades, but also the teachers and the families being able to connect over 9 or 10 years and tracking students out during that period of time. So that was just my personal experience in one lone system, but we actually made a point to break apart several middle schools and create K-8s within communities based on the data that we have available to us. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Seeing no other questions or comments from the board, do we have any public comments? We have no public comments. Ladies, thank you very much. I appreciate your presentation. Next, we have Louisiana Key Academy, North Shore. Good afternoon, ladies. Please state your name and your affiliation with the applicant. And if you haven't already done so, please fill out a comment card, so we'll have that for the record as well. You may proceed when you're ready.
I am Heather Bouchard, principal of Louisiana Key Academy, joined by my colleague Jordan Cartwright, special education coordinator, and our Dr. Laura Castillo, board chair.
Correct. Thank you. You may proceed with your presentation.
The proposed Louisiana Key Academy North Shore, a school for students with dyslexia, builds on the highly successful experience of our IMSLEC accredited Baton Rouge campus, whose mission is to educate and remediate children with dyslexia in an evidence-based curriculum, and to stand as an excellent model and resource for other schools and communities. So what is dyslexia and why does it matter? Dyslexia is defined in Louisiana law as an unexpected difficulty in reading for an individual who has the intelligence to be a much better reader, who is commonly caused by difficulty in phonological processing, which affects the ability of an individual to speak, read, and spell. Dyslexia affects 1 in 5 individuals and knows no racial or economic boundaries, affecting boys and girls equally. This means that 20% of the school-age population struggles with reading, which also affects writing, math, and access to grade-level content in science and social studies. When unidentified, dyslexia has the potential to damage the mental health and self-esteem of children. The North Shore School furthers our vision to impart to the community a better understanding of dyslexia, its prevalence, the importance of early identification, and an evidence-based education to ensure better outcomes for children. Our vision for our students and all students with dyslexia is that they are educated and equipped to succeed in high school and college so that they may reach their full potential. The North Shore campus will serve a diverse population of students in grades 1 through 8 who have been tested by LKA and determined to have dyslexia. There are no evidence-based, tuition-free public or private school options that provide a full day of education designed for the dyslexic child in the North Shore area.
There is after-school tutoring for those that can afford it, but no best practice model for that specialized school for a full day of students of all income levels. Currently, parents only have the option of driving 60+ miles to and from Baton Rouge daily, which many have done. A North Shore campus provides an alternative to a long drive and an opportunity for more children to benefit from a full-day program specifically designed for students with dyslexia. This campus is intended to serve St. Tammany and the surrounding parishes. And Ms. Cartwright will now provide more information on the model. Sure. So the innovative LKA North Shore campus is built upon 6 pillars. So one of those is early diagnosis and evidence-based instruction. So LKA North Shore encourages the enrollment of students in 1st grade as it is established that the achievement gap exists as early as 1st grade and it persists through adolescence. The longer the delay in identification and remediation, the less the gap is able to narrow. Also, we focus on the implementation of evidence-based instruction. So in alignment with recommendations from national experts, Dr. Sally and Bennett Shaywitz, and the national reading panels, students will engage in a minimum of 150 minutes of structured language arts 5 days a week. We also have small class sizes and personalized instruction. So students have multiple opportunities for feedback in small groups in all classes. They read grade level connected text aloud, solve grade level math problems, and they progress through the writing process in all content areas. Reading groups are 6 students to 1 training teacher. We also have flexible grouping, so students work in instructional groups determined by student progress, which allows them to move as quickly or with as much repetition as necessary to become a better reader. Our teachers are trained in dyslexia and dyslexia education. Teachers become certified academic language therapists, COLTs, or practitioners, COLTs. Teachers who obtain this level of requirements are considered experts in teaching the dyslexic child to read using evidence-based practices. And we have some more information in the application as far as what that looks like. We also do a lot of continuous professional development and data analysis. Teachers are able to continue to develop their understanding of dyslexia every year. They have dedicated time to individualize instruction to their students' individual needs with feedback from experts in dyslexia. This school design has been proven successful serving students with dyslexia at LKA Baton Rouge, which has operated for 8 years and now serves 430 students in grades 1 through 8. There is not another school in the North Shore area that offers such an innovative approach to addressing the unique needs of students with dyslexia.
Great timing. Thank you, ladies. I also have, let's see, questions from the board first. President Holloway.
I have to be fair to ask questions to everyone. Thank you for being at the table. My question here is if you're opening up a school, hi Laura, right? Good to see you. In this area, what is it? St. Tammany. St. Tammany. What is Chelsea area? What does demand look like? What is your I don't want to call it a wait list, but what do you foresee? And are you drawing children from Jefferson, what other area? Or Florida parishes? Can you talk through this?
Absolutely. So we intentionally are calling it LKA North Shore so that we are drawing from all the parishes surrounding St. Tammany, and additionally South Shore, Orleans, if we're able to. So we're really looking at strategic locations that allow for families to travel over the bridge. So currently we have students that travel from the North Shore area. We have families that travel from Lafayette. We have families that travel from Orleans Parish. We've had families move here from other states to come to our school. So we see the demand, increase as more people know and understand what the school does and what dyslexia is. So yes, we're looking at
your enrollment.
Enrollment in the new school. So we would start with around 96 students in year 1, and then by the end of year 5 at the 360 mark.
Just like what you've done this previous.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what how LKA Baton Rouge started as well. Sure.
What grade will you be doing?
It would be first and second grade, so it would be a first through 8th grade school.
Thank you.
We'd start with first through 4th grade, which is a reflection of the demand that we see here in Baton Rouge, where unfortunately students aren't identified until that 3rd and 4th grade year. So we want to make sure we're meeting the needs of the community. We know early first and second grade is best, that's getting these kids in 1st grade, but there's such a demand at the 3rd and 4th grade year.
Right, Mr. Garvey?
Yeah, let me ask first, do we have any speakers, public comment?
Yes, we do.
I'd like to hear from those first.
Okay,
before-
right. Next, we have Dr. Laura Cassidy, who is here, and if you wish to speak, Dr. Cassidy?
Hello, thank you all the BESE members for what you do. Actually, I don't have anything to say. I think there's some other people that have comments, and so I really wanted to be here to answer questions after the full discussion.
Excellent, thank you very much. Next, we have up to speak is Danny Garrett, who opposes the recommendation, wishes to speak. We have Dr. Dana MacArthur, who wishes to speak. And then we have Frank Chavia, who will provide information only, wishes to speak. And if you gentlemen, Mr. Garrett, Dr. MacArthur would come up first, we'll then take up Mr. Chavia. We have 2 chairs.
He's Superintendent Chavia, so I say Tammy's not, it'd probably be more appropriate if he spoke before I did.
Mr. Superintendent, protocol is quite appropriate that you would speak first, and in fact, we're going to put Daniel last.
Thank y'all for having me. Superintendent Frank Jackson with me as Board President Brandon Harrell. I just want to quickly go through a few things. First off, being this charter school has not come before our board or a third-party administrator because their application was ruled incomplete. When we were evaluating their application, on the assurance page, there's 17 questions here, and not one of those was answered. And the only one that was denoted NA, which is not even a choice. But I want to get to the real issue, and that is dyslexia, and I appreciate what Key Academy, Louisiana Key Academy does for students with dyslexia. But in St. Tammany, we address dyslexia across our district in all 55 schools, not just 1st through 8th, but in all of our schools. And that is evidenced by what our school performance score is at St. Tammany, which is an A, B, or C in all 55 of those schools. So I want to just be very clear that we have the curriculum and the support to address dyslexia in our schools. We do, and we commit to doing that with our students every day. So I just want to be transparent and give you all the information you needed to make a decision.
Great, thank you, Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you.
All right.
Is he going to hang out?
Yes, Mr. Superintendent, if you hang out, there might be some questions for you. Do you want to ask them now of the superintendent, or you want the other speakers?
Sure.
Mr. Superintendent, since you already have the hot seat, we'll just keep you there.
Sure.
Can you walk us through the application process from Key Academy, and you're saying, well, they didn't
Sure, so,
17?
right, so the application process, it comes to us, and then we evaluate it for eligibility determination, and then we just make sure that everything is there and appropriate before we send it over to a third-party administrator and then bring it before our board. So we couldn't bring it any further because the application was incomplete. I informed Key Academy of this, I informed the department of this through Ms. Barker, and they all knew where we stood and what was missing from the application. We denoted that clearly.
Okay, hopefully there was some conversations and dialogue with you and Key Academy. Did you give her or Key Academy a timeline to complete these 17 or whatever?
We were already past the deadline at that point.
Okay.
The deadline had been met at that point.
I'm sorry, but the deadline to
submit the application.
Submit application.
Yes, ma'am.
And in that application that was submitted, there were 17.
There's 17 attributes to.
Attributes that were not answered.
They were not answered at all. And
So
the only
did
one
you-
that said was NA next to it instead of yes or no or whatever the case
So
may
did
be.
you go back to Key Academy and ask for answers?
No, ma'am, we did not. We reported that to the department and to them that it was missing.
Mr. Garvey?
Yes. Superintendent Javia. That's, all those questions were on one page?
Those are on one page, yes,
And
sir.
it's one page out of how many pages?
It's quite a few pages. I don't have it in front of me. It's
heard it
probably
was-
100 pages of different documentation that's submitted for that.
Close to 200 is what I
Right.
heard, one page out of 200. And did they tell you that there was an electronic problem with copying the electronic signature or check mark?
I don't see how that's possible because the signature is there and the date is there. So I don't understand how there would be a problem with that.
So they did not tell you that, or?
Not to my knowledge, no, sir.
Okay. Did you receive a letter from their attorney explaining that the denial or the determination of a charter application being incomplete is not the duty of the superintendent, but is the duty of the school board itself?
I don't remember receiving that. If I did, everything that we've talked through Ms. Barker, it was the determination of the committee that was set forth to review this application before it went to a third party or to the board.
Is Ms. Barker here? Okay. Is it your understanding that the superintendent gets to decide if a charter application is complete or incomplete, or is it the school board's duty to do that?
That's their local district that gets to decide that. And so we respect the autonomy of the local parish to determine whether or not the application is complete. We don't do that.
Is Ms. Joan Hunt here? Could you come to the table, please?
So the question is whether the superintendent or the local school board determines that the application is complete?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, the local school board are the ones that vote on it. So I would say it was the local school board.
In fact, I think our regulation states specifically that it's the local school board that has to make the determination.
Yep.
And I read a letter that supposedly was sent to you by their attorneys. I think it was 2 letters that stated that for you. I could be wrong. I will try to get a copy of those letters for you. But my understanding is that it was brought to your attention by their attorneys. So if I'm wrong, I apologize, but if I can get a copy of these letters, I will get those.
We dealt directly with the department, with Ms. Barker, and she informed us what the process was, and we followed that process.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Mr. Castillo,
Sure.
the question I have,
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Oliver.
were you able to have a conversation with Key Academy to say your application is incomplete? I'm sorry, we can't accept it until it's complete, and you come back the next round?
I did. I sent that letter to them. I didn't have a conversation. I communicated that by email to them, that they were more than welcome to apply in the future, but the deadline had passed and the application was incomplete. Correct, I did.
Because normally, school systems do attempt to work with the applicant and negotiate and compromise and say, okay, go back to the drawing board and work this out, and then come back again.
Yes, ma'am.
So I want to note that you gave them the opportunity to come back.
I did.
A year later?
Yes, a year later, yes, sir.
A year later?
Because the deadline had already passed, correct.
Mr. Garvey?
Yes, back to Ms. Hunt, if I could. The BESE regulation and state statute, I believe also, which states that it's the school board's duty to make the determination of whether an application is complete or incomplete. I think that process also requires that the applicant be given a chance to respond to any claims that there are problems with the application. Can you verify that?
I don't know that the statute specifically requires that the policy may. The statute doesn't give, the statute does not, the policy may.
Okay, I think the policy does. Maybe we can check on that.
Yes, sir.
And have our documentation ready for the December meeting. But it does not require the applicant to wait a year and reapply before they have a chance to respond to claims of problems.
That's correct.
As far as you understand at this moment, without referring to the statute or the reference regulation itself. Thank you.
Great. Any other questions? Yes, Mr. Morris.
I'm just looking for some help with the timeline. Can you help me understand at what point you recognize that there were 17 questions that weren't completed or incomplete? And from that point until the time that you notify the applicant of the problem?
I would love to be able to give you a timeline.
Well, can you just ballpark me?
I had a committee of about 8 people that were reviewing the entire application. We went through the entire application, and at that point we did. But that took a lot of time. It's very extensive. This is the first charter school that's ever applied in St. Tammany. I've only been the superintendent for the last 11 months. So when I was trying to rely on, and we did rely on the department to guide us, because we had never done this before. So we didn't know what was the protocol to the extent how we responded. Ms. Barker and I, we even had the Zoom conference because I didn't, and my group didn't quite understand what we were looking for. We had looked, so it took some time. To give you a timeline, I can't say, but it took some time to do that.
Okay, I'm just looking for some clarification there, because on first pass, it just sounds like the problem was identified, but the applicant wasn't made aware of the problem until after the deadline expired. It doesn't really feel like, you know, groups are working together for the best interest of kids.
Sure.
And that's my concern. So you guys, when you guys come back, if you could help us with that timeline?
Absolutely.
I'd like to better understand.
Yes, sir. No problem.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, great. Mr. Superintendent, thank you. Dr. McCarthy?
Hi, I'm Danielle McCarthy. I'm representing one of 4 families who carpool together from St. Tammany Parish, Beach Springs, coming to Mandeville. We carpool together to go to Louisiana Academy for our 4 boys. And it has been a godsend to have a school where our children are able to, I mean, they're within the 3rd week of my boy coming into the 3rd grade for the school, sorry, I can't get the closer back.
Go back.
Go back, okay. That a little bit better?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. My boy had never wanted to really even look at a book or do any type of reading at all. It was just so difficult, despite the fact of having a high IQ. He was very, very smart. I was in the 3rd week of coming home. He read 5 little booklets to me, which he had never done before. He was so excited to do it. And he also feels he has a place that all these boys, they have a place where they, the way that their brain works is different. It recognizes letters differently, but they're in the same environment where they have all the other students who are having the same issues. They don't feel so alone and so isolated and stupid, frankly, is what a lot of these kids feel. And I'm just here to represent those families. We are so thankful to have it, and these kids get up at 5 a.m. in the morning to get dressed, go to school, come back. They really only have a couple hours to do their homework, and they go to bed and do it all over again. So having this school on the North Shore would be fantastic, and it's something that's desperately needed. That was it.
Great, thank you. Mr. Morris?
Yeah, I just have a quick question. If you don't mind, thanks for sharing your story. I was curious, you said you had 4 children in the school. How long have they been in the school?
I'm sorry, what?
You mentioned that you had 4 children in the school.
I have 1 boy, but there are 4 families, each of which have a boy that goes to school. We carpool together to go to school every day.
Okay, and then your child, how long has your child been in school?
He's in 3rd grade, and one of the boys is in 5th, and so there are 3 that are in 3rd grade, and 1 boy's in 5th grade at LKA. And this is his first year at LKA.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Great, thank you. Mr. Carver?
Is it Ms. McCarthy?
Hey, mic on.
Thank you.
Dr. McCarthy?
Yes.
McCarthy, I'm sorry. As Superintendent Jobby correctly pointed out, St. Tammany is one of the best school systems in the state. Very high rated schools, A, districts, A, B, and C schools. But yet you found this school to be beneficial for your situation.
Yes, because while, and with all due respect to the superintendent, he said they do address dyslexia at their schools, you know, and that they do have a curriculum, but it doesn't adequately address the children's needs. It's a method of doing it, but I would love to see the evidence on if that is actually working, because it doesn't. The kids are taken out of class for maybe an hour or so of supplemental instruction for reading, and that is what kind of they're working on. LKA is completely different in the way that in every single subject, in every class that they go to, they have the accommodations they need in order to understand the information. So if you can imagine that you can't read a sentence, okay, you're still working on that. Yet you go to your math class and there are instructions written on the board about what to do, and you're supposed to be able to read that and then follow the instructions. But you can't do that because you can't read, and that's in every single class where you go. But LKA is different in that when you go to a different class, just outside of learning how to read these, you know, sentences, you're given accommodations. So maybe the instructions are on a computer and it's read, the sentence is read to you, or the teacher actually says what to do and reads it, you know, for you. And so it's every single subject, every single class they go to, they're in an environment where they can understand, they're included, and they get to do all the work as I'm not explaining that very well, but they get to just understand more, and they're treated, it's not just taken out of class and then you feel very different and you're teased because you have to be taken out of class to do this special thing. You function normally as all the other kids do.
Excuse me, but I think the word would be access. So what she's talking about is a child who can't read is not punished in a math class for not having, they're actually given access to the math because of the approach that the teachers are taking.
Yes, thank you.
I hear what you're saying. I would like to think, let me rephrase that and say I believe that the services that Superintendent Javi provides to his dyslexic students are very good. I think that maybe there are some small subset of students that maybe something different could work better, even if the vast majority of dyslexic students are getting a good service at St. Tammany. But at the very least for you and the four families that you are familiar with, what Key Academy is doing is different and better for you guys.
Yes, and I think, you know, you have to look at the new articles and new, I guess new, just comparing the balance literacy and things that are happening at that level and versus the Oregon-Gillingham, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing it very well, the method of teaching that LKA is using and how effective that actually is for these students. So that's also a big difference. But yes, they are getting a good, they're getting a good foundation, but it just doesn't, there are other methods out there that work better. They're coming to realize now.
And are you familiar with the Tangible Hope Parish school system?
No.
The job that they do with their dyslexic students? Do you know any parents that are going to Key Academy from Tangible Hope Parish?
No, I just know the three parents that carpool with me.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. MacArthur. We have one more public comment from Mr. Danny Garrett.
Chairman, members of the board, Danny Garrett. I'm actually here representing St. Tammany. I've actually represented St. Tammany longer than I've represented the Louisiana School Board Association. I've worked with them, actually met them when I did their redistricting a decade ago. What I have learned about St. Tammany is that they attempt to excel at every challenge that's provided. And in looking at their history under the accountability system, you see that. And it's in virtually every title. And if they find a deficiency, if they find a better way to do something, they adopt it. Now, I think part of the situation here, I think, is, first of all, I think it kind of surprised me. This is the first charter application I think they've ever had. As I appreciate, the application was incomplete. It was submitted right around the time where they were at Easter break. They disseminated it to the committee. The committee started looking through it, and it was after the deadline that they discovered that it was incomplete. And not having done anything, they reached out to the department. Now, if there is some sort of accommodation, and maybe Ms. Hunt is aware, because she does this area more than I do, if there is some way that the academy could be, does the deadline, does the all structure allow for them to fully respond to those 17 pieces, then submit it and have it go through the third-party evaluator like it would in every other district. Then get the third-party evaluator to make a recommendation to the school board so that the school board could actually vote on it. I think they're open to doing that. It's just the rules seem to say that there's a deadline. And if the application is not complete prior to the deadline, then it doesn't move forward. And that's why certainly if they want to come back next year and meet the deadline with a completed application, they don't have a problem. I would leave it to the department if there is a way to allow them to complete the deadline, to complete the application after the deadline or supplement it after the deadline, and still be within y'all's rules. So I will leave that to y'all. I just spoke to Superintendent Gavin. He's willing to do that. He was willing to submit this one to the third party and to the board. It's just he felt constrained by the deadline.
Mr. Garrett, let me ask a question.
Yes.
Did anyone from the department, you, Ms. Barker, or you, Ms. Day, say to them that this was an incomplete application and they could not reach back out to them to ask them to complete the one-page form?
Not having been part of that conversation, I'll defer to Christine in a second, but I do want to call the distinction between two things, right? There's a local process, then there's the statewide process. We run the statewide process. For example, our process also goes through a completion check. When it went through our completion check, not to compare the two systems, process, but when applications go through our completion check, we give feedback to our applicants. We had this come up and we said, hey, did you actually need to submit this, right? It was the conversation. That is not something that we brought to you guys to say, is this a complete application? That is something that we used as a gating criteria to say, is this something that should move forward? Is this something that the department should spend $10,000 on to be evaluated by a third-party evaluator? Is this complete? In terms of like the dates and the requirements, we published the local charter application, right? And then we set the deadlines between when that window opens, when that window closes, and when we need to have final decisions. It is my understanding, and please correct me, Christine, that the checkpoints within that window at the local time period is at the discretion of the local system.
So, but I have a much more specific question, Ms. Parker, and that is that anyone from the school system, superintendent, did you advise anyone that the school key academy was not able to move forward because this one-page form had not been completed?
No, sir. When in conversations with Superintendent Javia, I made it clear that it is up to the local school system to determine whether or not the application is complete, and if they choose to follow up and get additional documentation.
Thank you for that clarification. Thank you, Mr. Garrett. Mr. Lawrence?
Yeah, my question is to the principal. Based on the conversation that we've had so far, it seems to be pretty clear that this school is taking a different approach to educating students that are challenged with dyslexia. And so that, taking a very different approach like that is going to require, I would think, specific training for the educators. So I just want to learn a little bit more about what kind of training you guys provide for, or propose to provide for the, to educate train the educators at the school.
So yes, it is very specialized training.
It is not the same as a teacher certification. It is in addition to any training that a teacher would have just to learn to teach. And it's specific to what does it mean to understand dyslexia and then teach a dyslexic child to read. So they have to complete a minimum of 200 instructional hours. That would be instructional hours with someone who's certified to allow you to become a therapist or a practitioner's less hours, but our therapists who teach reading. So 200 seat hours in a classroom, and then 700 clinical teaching hours. That's teaching hours with students who have dyslexia. You have 10 teaching demonstrations, and you also have to sit for an exam. And so not only is our school accredited by IMSLEC, which is a national organization, but also who we train with, our sister organization, the Dyslexia Resource Center, is accredited as well. So it's a very rigorous process, and it takes a minimum of 2 years to complete.
So I don't know if you guys were here earlier today, we had a lot of really good discussion about our concern for the quality of teachers in the classroom. In the BESE case, in your case, is very specific. So just wanted to sort of test your level of confidence, right, that you're able to recruit and train educators for this specific challenge. So if you could give us just a little bit of insight about, how you find these people, and then it takes 2 years to train them. So can you kind of talk us through that recruitment and training process and help us appreciate how that works?
So we actually, the North Shore was a excellent and ideal location for us because there's a Madison teachers there that are already trained. So we have people who are.
Yes, there are trained teachers in the North Shore area. Most of them were trained in Mississippi before our training program came into existence. Most of those teachers are not in the traditional public schools. They are tutoring children after hours. And so, again, our model is to give these children what they need during the school day so that they don't have to go after school to be tutored. And it is obviously more complete if they're getting all the 90 minutes and all the recommendations from the National Reading Panel, which is what our school is based on. I do want to talk about the DocuSign, because it was me that signed the DocuSign, and apparently it was during COVID. And when Heather sent it to me, and I signed it, and then it goes through the portal back to her. At some point, those checks were removed, and that is a technical error. One page of 246 pages, I believe. We also have the timeline from start to finish that we can send to you electronically or go through whatever the committee would want.
Right. We get Dr. Davis and then Mr. Garvey.
So first, I'd like to say that I have a niece and a nephew who have dyslexia who attended the 3D school in Mississippi, and by the time they left it in the 5th grade, they're in the top 25% of readers in the state. So I know that the model that you're talking about works. But I have a separate question regarding the board and whether or not, have the legalities of whether or not we get to look at an application that a local school board has not considered. And so I guess I would like to know when in this process, we as a board make the decision that they came to a school board and did or did not get a vote, and that we're still okay with considering their application when it seems as if they did not get a vote by their school board for all kinds of reasons. I think miscommunication, clerical, error with the COVID. And so my question is, can we consider this application legally? Like, what does the law say about the fact that the board did not vote on this application?
I would like to say, not only did we send 2 letters from the attorney to the superintendent, but we also sent it all to the board members as well. So we also called to make sure that the letters were delivered, and this was all before the deadline. So I feel like we did due diligence and just put that out there.
Dr. Cassidy, I'm sorry, in regards to her question, the letter, what was the letter about in response to you didn't complete the act?
So the lawyer sent, and we have hard copies that we can leave with you, but the statute that he referenced in the letter regards that the decision for reviewing a charter application should be made by the school board and not the superintendent. And so, again, 2 letters were sent, not only to the superintendent, but to all of the school board members, when we were still within the deadline. And again, we called to make sure that those letters were sent by FedEx, that they made it. And the second letter also asked some other questions by our lawyer as well. But we received no response from either letter.
Right. Thanks. Anyone else? All right. I don't see any other comment cards. Ladies, thank you so much for your presentation. Great afternoon. Next, we have Madison Academy of Innovation. All right, folks, thanks for presenting to us today. Same as the others, please identify yourself and your affiliation with the applicant.
Good afternoon. My name is Louisiana Haggard, representing Madison Academy of Innovation, Executive Director.
Good afternoon. My name is Benjamin Battle. I'll be the STEM advisor for the Madison Academy of Innovation.
Great, thank you. You may proceed.
Madison Academy of Innovation. We started this initiative in 2019. We are applying for the charter as a Type 2 charter. We are located within a F district, school district. We're doing K through 8 with our student population of 270. So, our state mission is to provide students with the opportunity to learn a STEM-based curriculum using science, technology, engineering, and math. The Madison Academy of Innovation prepares students for the future economy through the teaching of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics using engineering, environmental science, and energy service as a basis for learning. The engineering design process will provide the overarching theme of the school. A K through 12 engineering curriculum introduces young students to relevant and fulfilling science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. This approach will utilize a project-based learning concept as its platform for learning. Our platform is not just to have a robotic program, but to have a full-fledged school of innovation. And our model consists of 3 components. Project-based learning is at the heart of the instructional approach and is used across all disciplines and grade levels. 2, student-to-computer ratio to facilitate an innovative approach to instruction and culture through the use of technology. And 3, we will promote a culture that promotes trust, respect, and responsibility. And we believe that we have targeted our particular community is because it is based on the idea that the students will travel as far as 45 miles for the opportunity to receive a high level of challenging education. We are not here to damage the Madison Parish School District. We are hoping that we can enhance the Madison Parish School District with our program. By us going through K through 8, we're hoping that by the time our students get ready for the 9th grade, that they will turn over to Madison Parish School District and will help increase their scores as well. So we're hoping to collaborate all together to make this happen, to bring up the scores, not just make us look good, but also to enhance Madison Parish School District as well. And so Mr. Battle, he would now tell you how the platform will work as the Academy of Innovation.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak this afternoon. My background is in STEM education. I've been a STEM educator for the past 15 years, working with Scholastic Academy, the Academy of Innovation in Vicksburg, Mississippi, as well as the Hines Community Center, working with Project Lead the Way. I grew up in Madison Parish, and having moved back, I can see that there is a dire need for this type of program in Madison Parish. The students have no competitive edge, and they need that in order to be relevant in the 21st century. They need a STEM-based education, project-based learning. And our program at the Madison Academy of Innovation will ensure that they get that. Across the curriculum, we look to implement different tools and techniques that will increase the pedagogy of our students as well as our community. We want to make sure that when our students leave our schools that they are able to be career ready, college and career ready. And so we want to incorporate many of the things that I see in other places right in Madison Parish. Coding, programming, robotics, health and human services. We want to make sure that our kids, as I said, when they leave our schools, that they're able to go into the workplace or find a good job or be ready for college when they leave.
And I would just like to add to Mr. Battle, Madison Parish School District is a very low census with approximately about 1,100 students. So our goal is not to reach out to their kids to bring them over to our school. Our goal is to reach out to the ones that go to the charter school outside of our district.
Great, thank you, folks. We have questions from the board. Anyone? Mr. Morris.
Yeah, similar question to the last group of presenters. You know, they have a model that's targeting a very specific group of kids, and your model sounds like it's very similar. I can meet Mr. Battle, going back to your hometown and the focus on STEM education and so forth. But again, it seems to me like that's a very pretty focused initiative, and you're going to need educators on your staff that are qualified to teach that material. And I'm likely familiar with Madison, Louisiana prior to this, so I'm going to see what you guys are located on East Louisiana, the rural area. I'm just curious, you know, what are your plans to recruit staff to work your model?
As we was putting the application together, we reached out outside of Madison Parish School District. So the team that we have put together is a very strong team. The teachers as well, they all are certified. They are outside of the Madison Parish School District. Most of them are retired teachers after COVID came along. A lot of them resigned. So they are willing to come back into the district now. By us being such a small school, at this point right now, we already have approximately 9 applications that's in of certified teachers through the Louisiana Department of Education, and as well as our school leader has over 35 years of experience with charter and public school, and currently have some certification into the STEM curriculum. And also our leadership team, they're very young, vibrant, energized, they're ready to make that change. We're trying to put the kids first, so therefore it's not a competition between Madison Parish School District, the Ohio Charter, Madison Academy of Innovation. Our leadership team has come together to put a project together where we can see how we can make that work. We have someone in training to come to professional development, not to just train our teachers for 2 to 3 days, but throughout the entire school year.
Great.
I'd also like to add, if I may, that I have also been trained in Project Lead the Way, and hopefully believe that would be something that we may can look at instituting at Madison Parish as well. That will help train the teachers. They'll go off, they'll be trained in the summer, then they'll come back and they'll implement what they've learned into the classrooms.
Thank you for that. And Mr. Gaston, if I could, it sounds like there's a story here to do with your application based on comments that we got previously. Can you try to take us through that?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I understood there was a question with the Madison application that they weren't denied type 1. Did I get that wrong?
You applied directly to BESE as a type 2 and bypassed the local school district, is that correct?
We did, we was under the impression that we did not have to go through the Madison Parish School District because they are an F district.
Which is essentially the same process that GEO has taken because they likewise bypass the local school district.
Okay, so basically, the previous comment is really irrelevant because the process allows for them to do that. Is that correct?
Yes, my understanding, Ms. Barker, correct me if I'm wrong, is that if you're a D or an out of school district, that an applicant can bypass the local school district and apply directly as a type 2 to BESE.
Thank you for that clarification.
All right. Seeing no other questions from the board, we have one public comment, Dr. Charles, or is it Charlie Butler Jr.? Yes, Dr. Butler. Dr. Butler wishes to speak and provide information on.
Yes, I'm the new superintendent here in Madison Parish. I've been there a bit over a year now, and I just want to let you know I'm fully behind your leadership, State Superintendent Brunlin, and the expectations for Madison is to be a comeback district of the year. At the present time, we are a D district. Before the pandemic, we were a top gains district in 4 areas: African American males, economically disadvantaged, special ed, and high school. The district is in the process of continuing the growth of becoming accredited. We are a financially A-rated district. We utilize our financial resources appropriately. We have academic growth data for all schools pre-pandemic. However, going virtually most of last year had a negative impact on us. We are expected that our acceleration plan will give back and we'll be back on our track to become that comeback district of the year. As a former traditional administrator and public charter principal, I know the opportunities that charters can provide families and the community, if and only if they have an innovative plan, resources, and the staff. Madison Academy of Innovation has not presented any local, has not presented their plan to me. Now I know why. When considering awarding a charter, in this case, we are in an area, in a region that have limited resources and certified teachers. We find ourselves just shuffling those teachers throughout the charter system and the regular public education system. Unfortunately, there have been 2 prior charters that have failed in recent years, with the latter closing at the end of last year. We hired several of those teachers, and we are still at a shortage. Dividing limited teachers and quality teachers will only further set the whole community back, including the potential charter. As a district, we are losing population continuously, which means kids, we have to provide programming and can possibly financially cripple our district. With the latter charter closing, we gained about half of the 250 students from the UVA Toluca charter. And other students were still not over 1,200 kids. I believe allowing yet another charter to come in under these circumstances isn't what's best for the community at this time. We already have our charter, which comes into the community and takes over several hundred kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Any questions for the superintendent or any of our other presenters? Seeing no questions, thank you. I'm sorry. We do? I'm sorry.
sorry, I wanted to know the enrollment of Madison.
At this time, it's 1191 from our October 1 count.
And 2 charters or 1 decline?
Well, we have the STEAM Academy that's there now, plus their charter takes most of the students through his charter.
So 1,100 total, and that's including the charters having that?
No, it's 1191 for Madison Parish. I don't know how many it is that goes to their charter from the district. You're welcome.
Ms. Morris.
While the superintendent's at the table, I'd like to take the opportunity to share with him, if you have some time tomorrow, we're going to get a testimony from the Louisiana Director of Broadband, and he's going to make a presentation to the board with regard to the GUMBO grants, which provide the opportunity for broadband connectivity in a 2-year time frame. And they're targeted to areas that do not have broadband service currently as their highest priority. So again, I just saw where you guys are located. It seems to be a pretty remote area of Louisiana. So if you have some time, you might follow that conversation tomorrow. I'd be happy to put you in touch with you.
Thank you.
Great. Seeing no other questions, again, thank you folks for your presentation. We look forward to communicating with you in the future. That takes us to our last school and set of presenters, Vermillion Charter Academy. Same process, folks, please come up. I trust you've already completed comment cards. State your name and your affiliation to the applicant. You have 5 minutes for your presentation, and then we'll take questions from the board.
Good afternoon.
Good
I'm
afternoon.
Bridget Campbell Winters, and this is Murphy Gilbo. We serve as president and vice president of the Vermillion Charter Foundation. We're very honored to be here with you this afternoon. We are an 8-member board of trustees, all residing in Vermillion Parish, and several of us live and work in the northern part of the parish. All of us provide service to our community through community groups, board memberships, and volunteer opportunities. Half of our board members have school-aged children who are in Vermillion Parish public schools, and the other half are now empty nesters enjoying their grandchildren. We represent a diverse cross-section of Vermillion Parish, bringing valuable experiences in educational, management, sales, business development, community relations, and financial expertise. I am actually a retired educator who's had a very rewarding career with 33 years all in the Vermillion Parish school system. The one common factor that binds all of us as board members together is our commitment to help the children of Vermillion Parish receive the best possible education in the best possible environment. That's the mission that brought us together 16 months ago. That's the mission that keeps us motivated to continue moving forward. Dr. Toby Daspit was hired by the Vermillion Parish School Board to evaluate our application for a Type 1 charter school. We were only the 3rd of 14 favorable recommendations ever made by Dr. Daspit. Despite his favorable recommendation for approval, the Vermillion Parish School Board voted 5-3 to not accept Vermillion Charter Academy in the parish. It is a fact that Maurice has earned the title of the fastest growing municipality in the state since 2010. Recent census data has confirmed this growth. In the past 10 years, Maurice has doubled in population, growing from 964 in 2010 to 2,118 in 2020. Another 300 residents have been claimed since that census data was released. The current school facilities in the Maurice area have not been able to accommodate this growth, and the current schools are severely overcrowded. Many students are in classrooms not under the main roof but rather in portable buildings. We are aware of the safety and security issues caused by this severe overcrowding. Imagine a cafeteria built for 3 cooks preparing food for 350 students, now accommodating 11 cooks preparing food for over 1,400. Students eat on one half of the gym floor, while a PE class goes on the other half. Students deserve better than this, and that's where we can help. Through our partnership with Charter Schools USA, we can be a positive solution to the overcrowding in the northern part of the parish. A Type 2 charter school would allow for students to receive a quality education through a STEAM curriculum in a state-of-the-art facility. We believe Vermillion Charter Academy is a strong choice in developing students who are innovative thinkers, emotionally intelligent leaders, and lifelong learners in a safe and secure environment.
She gave me 48 seconds.
Use it.
Day long, so that shows our passion for Vermillion Parish and the children of Vermillion Parish. That's the only thing we have in front of us. Vermillion Parish is a great parish. The school system is fantastic. We're not questioning that whatsoever. The only option that we have, we've tried to go to Type 1. And now we have to go to Type 2 because we feel the community is asking us to do that. And we put ourselves forward with that. We're a volunteer board, and we're here just for the kids, for no one else, just for the children.
Thank you, sir.
I tried to get it in quick.
Well done, well done. All right, questions from the board? Dr. Volpe.
Thank you guys for being here. It's nice to have your faces in the audience today. Talk to me about the grade configuration that you're going for.
We're actually going for K through 8.
K to 8?
K to 8.
Okay.
With the we've been asked to do K, to build, actually we were asked to build through the high school too, from the community, from the Maurice area and all. But being our first situation and the brand new board, we're learning. So we decided K through 8 is what we're asking for. That's what our application is for. Even though we've been asked to go larger to high school level.
Great. Other questions?
Dr. Volpe, if I can just piggyback on that just a little bit. It has always been our desire to work with the Vermillion Parish School System. We just feel it would have been a win-win for all concerned. That was not allowed, but we still want to make a difference because we're putting the kids' needs first. We really feel that with the numbers that are happening at the elementary schools up to the middle school, that if we could focus on a K-8 configuration, we could relieve some of those numbers, we could take in some of those, that would allow the school system to maybe focus on working on some things at a high school level instead of a pre-K to high school across the board. So we come in with a solution and help at that level.
And did I hear right that the vote was 5-3?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to add one thing also, as we notice that Maurice is just expounding, it's going in every different direction. And there was a survey hired by the school board, which their own people brought it in, where by 2025, there's going to be another 525, I think was the exact number, what they figured. It's 525 more kids coming into the system right in that area. So,
Mr. Murphy, do you happen to know, I mean, if these are people who are coming from outside Lafayette, is this Lafayette growing south, or is this connected to people like from my community, you know, south of Highway 82 in the Mouton Cove area, the people migrating north? Is there any information about?
it's all the above, Dr.
All of the
Volpe.
above.
What's happening is it's actually expounding. If you take Vermillion Parish and you take the Maurice area, I mean, Lafayette is right there. So what you have is you have people that go to work in Lafayette, but want to live in Vermillion Parish, want to have their kids in Vermillion Parish School. It even expounds all the way to Youngsville. you
Yeah.
know? And Youngsville comes in this area, so it is just exploding. And in retrospect on Maurice, they've actually had to put a stop for a period of time on all the buildings that were being built, all the community areas, all the houses coming in, all because they didn't have the infrastructure to fit that. Now they just took that moratorium off, and the moment they did that, it's just unbelievable.
Well, and
Travel
then,
down that
I mean, the
road.
subdivisions are literally going up in the rice fields. Like, it's not even in Maurice anymore. I mean, the subdivisions are literally going up in the rice fields. I can't say, it's just personally kind of sad for me as someone from South Vermillion in the sense that, you know, because of coastal erosion and the hurricanes and those kinds of things, as much as I would love to live where my grandparents live, it's something that, you know, I don't know if that's a smart thing to do.
Well, that's what's happening too, you know,
Yeah.
they're moving to this area, and again, we want to expand, we have a great school system, we really do, out there, they're doing a great job, all we want to do is help with it, and that's why we were trying to do that. If there would have been a better answer for it, or a better planning for it, you wouldn't see us over here, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah, and I'll just share with the board members that, I mean, this is something that I've had different people in Vermillion Parish engage me in over a long period of time. And I think there was a desire to get the district itself to do something, you know, and then I think when there was a roadblock there, then there's the look to a charter school to come in, because it's actually very similar. And what's interesting is I live exactly in the middle of this. So in Youngsville, you had the same situation, a very fast-paced growth, and to the west as well in Maurice. So it's definitely been a struggle for people. So I also, fellow board members, will let you know that I was able to go and meet with this board of people, and it was really helpful, you know, just to see the faces of the people and understand what they're trying to achieve, because there's a lot of people who are from that community who are deeply committed to the public system. They're and connected to the public system, but see this as a problem. So thank you guys for the time, and
I'll expound on it just for one little bit, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Grant me a little bit of time. Yeah, we have been in the public system for a long time. I actually was on a committee put together by the former superintendent to look into a plan for Vermillion Parish in the public system, what to do for all of the schools. And that committee spent about 7 months on that, developing that plan to present to the school board on that part, on the public portion of it. And we did not get the support, so that's how this transpired.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Bowman. Mr. Morris.
Yeah, maybe Dr. Bowman could answer the question for the folks at the table, but I'm just curious. You said the school board didn't respond to the presentation, but yet I heard a conversation that there are certain lunch in the school gym or a PD on the other side, so that's an obvious problem. But what is the school board's solution to that problem and the growth and the fact that apparently the facilities don't exist today?
I wish I had that answer for you, Mr. Morris, I do not, okay? Because we felt that we made every presentation possible to them, both on our application, third party, looking at us and all. We jumped every hurdle that was there, and we actually got resounding results from a third party and all this portion of it. The prior committee that I was on to look at it, really looked at it as a parish-wide situation, every school getting a little bit of something in that, but we did not have the support, I should say. I can't really expound.
Great. Mr. Garvey? President Holloway.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. My question is in regards to the shift that's happening in Louisiana, the population shift, there's a shift in Vermillion, you're discussing the population shift to Maurice and wanting to have an option available, and the demand is great. And I know all parents want the best, want effective schools. So the question is, how are you going to advertise to your whole district in Vermillion about an option for kids? Like, how are you going to reach out to the other areas in Vermillion? Even though you're going to have people coming in from Iberia or Lafayette, but if you're stationed in Maurice, how will you support families that are within the confines in the least populated areas to come to your school?
Right. With the help of our management team, Charter Schools USA, we are in the process of putting together surveys to find out what the desire is, even though all 8 members of the board actually live in the district, and we've been hearing what is needed. We've been living through what is needed. In my home, I can drive down a road and look and wonder, where did that subdivision come from? Because last week it wasn't there. The numbers are there, the growth is there. We also plan to, hopefully we're going to be getting a favorable recommendation and type 2 charter granted, and we're ready to hit the ground running. In as far as we have people in the Maurice community that have reached out to us with land to purchase. We have that on the list to do. We have plans for building a new school. That is on the list to do. We have reached out to community organizations throughout Vermillion Parish as far as showing up and explaining to them who we are and what we're trying to accomplish. We've used social media platforms. We've used our local newspaper. We have a Facebook page. But we do plan to hold town hall meetings, and we plan to get the word out there if, and hopefully when, we have news that we have a school available.
I'll just add, it's not hard to get word around Vermillion Parish about what's going on.
You seem like pigeon.
All right, thank you, folks. We do have some comment cards. Stacy Brunet, representing the Charter Academy, supports the recommendation but does not wish to speak. Greg Terrio also has completed a card, supports the recommendation but does not wish to speak. We have Garrett McCoffin, who supports the recommendation but wishes to speak. Yes. And let's see. We have 3 more, just so that folks can make their way up. I'll just go ahead and read them. Charlotte Detrax, all right, opposes the recommendation, wishes to speak. You want to make your way up forward, and then I'll take up the next 2 after that. I'll take these 2 first, Mr. McGoffin.
Thank you, sir. 2 points. Gary McGoffin, I'm an attorney in Lafayette. I represent charter schools. I represent the Lafayette Charter Foundation. We have 2 schools in Lafayette, and I've been working with the Vermillion Charter Foundation for the past 16 months in their organization. First thing I want to tell you is that they have been getting organized corporately and also to fulfill their responsibilities for open meetings, public records, and that sort of thing. We've been having regular workshops and monthly meetings. I'm very impressed with the group that's coming together and with the thought they put into this and what they're trying to do for their home parish. They were very disappointed that they did not get a Type 1 charter, and in looking at what they could do to assure that my other client, Lafayette Charter Foundation and the Youngsville community did not overwhelm the school that they're looking to build, they found what I did not realize existed in Bulletin 126 in Section 2701, which is that a Type 2 school can limit its service area to a parish or parishes. And so it has voted, the board has voted to give first priority to Vermillion Parish students because that's why I wanted to start it in the first place. It's a very real threat when you look at Maurice and Youngsville, which are only about 8 or 10 miles apart. In Youngsville, Lafayette Charter Foundation has a school with over 1,650 students, K through 10 right now, and over 1,300 students on the waiting list. They could easily go that distance to Maurice and fill that school, but it wouldn't take care of the problem that Vermillion Parish has for its own students. So this charter board is very focused on taking care of its students and its community, and very much wanted to work with its own school system to be able to do that, but unfortunately was not able to do so. In the several applications that I've had with Type 1 charters, Dr. Toby Daskett, who did the third-party evaluation on this one, this is the first time I've seen him not only render a favorable recommendation to the school board, but an enthusiastic one. The process was very good that we went through in terms of answering his questions and him seeing the need, and he did. So this is not a question of criticism of the local school system, it's a capacity issue. Same thing Lafayette Parish faced in the Youngsville area. It simply didn't have the resources to build the schools that were needed. This group of citizens is stepping forward to fill that need. Thank you.
Great, thank you, sir. In addition to Ms. Detraz. All right, Detraz. All right, and we also have Laura LeBeau and Edward Joseph Rowe. And you can come up in whatever order you wish.
Greetings, BESE board members.
State your name, just so that
My name is, I was going to state.
Great.
Greetings, BESE board members. My name is Laura LeBeau, and I was chosen because our president and vice president could not be here tonight. One thing, and Ms. Charlotte Daytrop, we're going to speak together. Vermillion Parish in May voted 5-3 to reject it, and I'm going to explain the reasons why of our rejection. Basically, first of all, when they came to us, the main reason was for overcrowding. We represent all children in our parish, in all areas of our parish, not just the north end of the parish. We at the time had been working on a plan, and our plan to relieve this overcrowding in the north end of the parish, which has been caused basically, we're coastline parishes. With these hurricanes, a lot of the population is shifting north. We're not growing. The census of 2010 showed our overall parish was 57,999, and then basically 2018. I thought we got 5 minutes for a school board.
Are you representing the school board?
Yes.
No one else will speak from the school board?
No, we're the school board.
Keep going.
Okay, so basically, without a growth in population and only a shift, our solution is to spot zone, because our facility usage is showing that 20 of our schools are below capacity. The second thing I want to bring out is fiscal responsibility. They're targeting to recruit for their school in a range from 500 to 700 students. So basically for us, if we're losing MFP funding of 8,500 to 9,500, which we calculated for every 100 student loss, is going to be 900,000, roughly $4 to $5 million. The cuts will have to come from somewhere. They'll have to either come from RIFs, consolidating and shutting down schools, or taking away innovative programs which help make us a district. And that's what I'm going to be talking about after Ms. Daytrop talks about our educational system of quality.
Charlotte Daytrop, Vermillion Parish School Board. Vermillion is an 8 district. Hasn't been an 8 district for 10 years. A search of district report cards can be found at the LouisianaBelieves.com. It will reveal that Vermillion has ranked at times in the top 3 in the various categories compared to other school districts in the state. Charter USA presence in our district will have them recruiting some of our brightest students. According to the data, the only one of Charter USA school that presents adequate data of quality education is Renaissance Charter in Lafayette. I question the results because of the small student population, which in turn affects the validity of the results. The other schools are Lafayette Charter with a C, Magnolia a D, Iberville a D, South Baton Rouge a D, and Southwest D. Indicates problems with the quality of the education that they can provide to our students. As a board member, one of my jobs is to ensure quality education to provide to all of our students. I feel those students recruited will not get the quality education as we can give in Vermillion. Thank you.
Okay, one thing I want to bring out to the board is in the research that we have done as Vermillion Parish School Board, we have a population of around 9,565. Those charter schools in size of our population basically had a need for it because it wasn't overpopulation, it was low-performing schools which they needed to provide educational quality. We're 80. They're going to be pulling from, we are 13 A's, 5 B's, 2 C's. They're a pool of, in their areas, 5 A's. They're going to recruit our quality kids. This is, you know, we have a choice here as BESE board members. Is it about educational quality and innovation? Because I haven't heard anything about innovation, and I thought the law was you are to provide innovation. We as a system are providing innovation to our children. If they come in and they take from us, what's more important, innovation or choice? And I'll end with that. We as a board have the commitment to provide the best possible education to all our children, not just the children in the north end of the parish. Thank you.
Great, thank you, ladies. And then we have Mr. Rowe. Thank you.
Mr. Castillo.
Yes, sir.
Okay, he's on the school board as well, right?
He's not on the school board.
I had a question for the school board folks.
So, Mrs. LeBlanc, do you mind going back? Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So first of all, I just want to commend you for your track record, you know, of being able to sustain that level of performance at your school for so many years.
Thank you, sir.
Along that lines, if I'm a parent and I'm in your district and you've got that kind of track record for an A school, why am I going to move my child out of your school and move somewhere else?
Because it's a brand new building. And, I mean, our high school in the north end of the parish has a brand new middle school. Our high school is one of the fairly new buildings. Our buildings in need of repair, some of them, just like every other district, but we're working to target that at this particular point in time. So, the truth to the answer of the matter, I really think that the area or population does not agree with the consensus of the board that we need to spot rezone and fill our other schools because there has been white flight in Vermillion Parish to avoid attending schools of racial or low economic makeup. The wealth is in the north end of the parish.
Okay, all right, second question. Thank you for that. We heard that the independent evaluator recommended the approval. What's your position on that? You know, why would you feel like it would be contrary to the independent evaluator's recommendation to approve the application?
Basically, the independent auditor or whoever evaluator, he is a professor at the University of UL. So basically, if you meet guidelines, here's my deal. Where is the innovation you presented to the board? You presented the issue is we're here to partner with you to solve the problem of overcrowding. Tell us what you're going to provide to our children here that's innovative, that's going to help us all grow. We're here for educational excellence and to grow it doesn't matter what he presented. Anybody can get up and say, oh, they need the check marks right here. So why am I, as a board member, going to agree with someone where I'm going to provide or cut programs or cause teachers to go into a rift when it's just about helping relieve a problem in the north for overcrowding that we can resolve in some other way? Especially rezoning, and no one wants to hear the word rezoning.
Thank you, Mr. Castillo.
All right, thank you. Board members? Okay. Sir, you're next.
Thank you. My name is Abram Rayo, and I am a retired employee with the Vermillion Parish School System. I taught for 20 years, and I was a principal for 17. I retired in 2005, and this afternoon I missed my nap. And I know you guys have got to be tired. I sincerely appreciate your attentiveness, because I've been watching you guys from the back of the room, and I appreciate everything that you do. I'm glad that Mrs. LeBeouf brought up the elephant in the room, because I know Mr. Gilbo and Ms. Winters were having a difficult time tiptoeing around it. And white flight to the north part of the parish is definitely an issue here. Vermillion, okay, excuse me, I'm sorry. It's my understanding that I've been out since 2005, so type 1 is supposed to be, if it's voted down, it has to come to type 2. But they can also go outside of the parish with a type 2, I believe. So to me, that would exacerbate the situation even more. I'm not opposed to charter schools. I heard somebody say that if it meets the needs of the kids in a D district or an F district or whatever, I'm all for it. Anything I can do to help kids, that's what I want. As a matter of fact, I adopted one of my sons, my oldest son, when he was 17. He was a kid that I taught in middle school, and he's now 55, and we have 3 beautiful granddaughters from him. So I'm all about helping kids, and today I would like to talk about programs that could be affected if money is taken from the MFB. The MFB monies are taken from Vermillion Parish. French immersion is it's an awesome program, and Vermillion Parish has just started K1, 2, and this year they have 3. These people have done an amazing job with critical thinking skills for kids, and that's where your test scores go up when you have kids, especially when they reach the 5th and 6th grade level. And I know that because I've been a volunteer for the past 14 years in Iberia Parish with the French Immersion Program, North Lewis Elementary School, celebrating 20 years of immersion. And this past year, every school in Iberia Parish went down with their scores, except one school in the parish in the area of mastery and advanced. North Lewis grew 5%. It was the only school in the parish to grow 5%, to grow any percentage. And when they looked at the data, it was from the French immersion kids who had bumped up their scores to mastery and advanced. So programs like that would be affected. I'm sorry, I know there's no time left. But programs like that would be affected. Music, the arts, that would all be affected, just so one area of the parish can have a brand new school. Thank you so much. I appreciate everything that you
Et de temps en temps, c'est plus important aussi
pour
le foncier, n'est-ce pas?
On peut parler tout l'après-midi si tu veux.
Oui.
Oui, c'est très joli. Lâche pas la patate.
Bonne chance.
Merci.
Mr. Morris continues to amaze us. Dr. Murphy, can you top that?
No. I cannot top that. I will not even embarrass myself by trying. So, Ms. Winters, I do have a question for you. Can you return to the mic, please?
So the issue of innovation was raised. Would you like to speak to that?
Yes. And if I may, I have to. I'm sorry, the elephant in the room. It was stated just a minute ago that Mr. Gilbo and I were tiptoeing around this issue of white flight, and I just kind of take issue with someone speaking on my behalf. So if it's okay, I'd like to address that. I was born and raised in Abbeville, which is a hop, skip, and throw from Maurice. And my dad actually served on the Vermillion Parish School Board, board president, did the works. I come from a family of educators, and I've always loved Vermillion Parish, never had a desire to leave, to go anywhere else. My service is to my community. I met and fell in love with a guy from Maurice. And we got married, and he's from Maurice. He has family property in Maurice. He's lived his entire life in Maurice. Maurice is a diverse community. There are people of color who live in Maurice. And 20-some years ago, I moved to Maurice. It had nothing to do with flight from Abbeville. So there are many, many subdivisions, affordable housing, opportunities for young families, young parents. The market is big. And so there are a lot of people moving into the community, and I would not just assume that they are all white or not people of color, and they are looking to get away from other issues. I just think that's a bad representation of our population growth, and I just wanted to address that. I have many, many former students who are now adults with children, and they live in that area because the housing is there, the schools are there. They are people of color as well as my friends who are of other races. So I just want to say that. Vermillion Parish is indeed a great place. After all, I gave 33 years working in the school system there, so I truly, truly believe it's a great educational system. But I've also come to realize that there is never a one-size-fits-all. And just because you're a great school system and you're an A school system, it doesn't mean that there's not room for anything else. And the argument came up in the beginning, well, they just got together and they want to build a school just for the overcrowding. And true, the concept came to us, the community, the friends, people came to us, and that was the main reason. After all, you don't want to pull your kid out of an A school to go to a school and take a chance. But the overcrowding is so severe that they're willing to take that chance. Vermillion Parish doesn't have any schools of choice or academies. They don't have a focus on a STEAM education where we do plan. Our sister school is Acadiana Renaissance Charter Academy, who's 8 miles down the road from us. We've had an opportunity as a board to visit that school many times. In fact, we've had a lot of our board meetings in the school. We've toured the school. We've looked at the education model. We've had conversation on, in the beginning, are we making the right choice? But we had a consensus that yes, we are. Our partnership is going to work. We will focus on coding. We don't want to interrupt the successful French immersion program that's going on at one of our elementary schools in the district. We're going to focus on Spanish, which will be different. We're going to offer coding for all students. We're going to be focused on the arts and math and engineering and technology. We have schools in Vermillion Parish that
can't do technology because the school is 90 years old and can't support it. We are offering something, not just a pretty building, but everything that's going to go along with that pretty building as a really good choice for parents.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. I think that covers all questions from the board and from our presenters. Thank you so much for coming. We look forward to visiting with you in the future. I think that takes us to the end of this committee's. We have motion to receive. We've had motion second.
It's on.
Miller. Any objections? No objections. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. This concludes our agenda. We will allow a 5-minute restroom break and begin our final committee of the day.
Good.
I'd like to call the Education Effectiveness Committee to order. Roll call, please, ma'am.
Dr. Bovee? Here. Mr. Castile? Not in attendance. Dr. Davis? Here. Ms. Ellis is not in attendance. Mr. Garvey? Not in attendance. Ms. Holloway?
Here.
Mr. Mellery?
Here.
Mr. Morris? Ms. Orange Jones is not in attendance. Mr. Rock?
Here.
Ms. Bochet is not in attendance. Ms. Natalie Roy? Not in attendance. You have a quorum.
First item, please, ma'am.
The consent agenda is ready for your approval, adding items 3.1, 5.1, 5.2, and 5.3.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
May I have a second? Then move to proper second. Any objection? Moved by Dr. Buffer, second by Ms. Miller. Any objection? Hearing none, the motion passes. Next item, please.
Your first item is on page 1, item 2.1, consideration of certification preparation pathways submitted by Louisiana Tech University. The department recommendation is to approve the Louisiana Tech University certification only pathways as outlined.
Okay, Bill, move it.
Could I move to take 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, and 2.4 together?
Yes, if I can second. I move to proper second. And we take items 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3.
And 2.4.
And 2.4. Dr. Buffer and Mr. Bellamy. 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, and 2.4. Okay?
So the motions will be for 2.1, 2.2, 2.3 will be to approve. The motion for 2.4 is to receive the report.
Thank you, that's correct.
Okay, so we are to your report.
Any objection?
Wait, who wrote this to talk? We got to report first.
Oh, I'm sorry. 2.10. Yes.
Yeah, the report is in your hand.
Okay.
I need to look at it.
It is on page 19. 2.4 is on page 19.
Any discussion? Hearing none, motion passed. Any objection? Hearing none, motion passed.
The next item is on page 36, item 4.1, consideration of a waiver of policy contained in Bulletin 996, standards for approval of teachers and our educational leader preparation programs for the 2021-2022 school year, submitted by the State Superintendent of Education. The department recommendation is to approve the waiver in Bulletin 996 regarding student teaching and year-long residency requirements for the 2021-2022 school year.
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Butler, second by Mr. Bellamy. Any objection to the motion? Any discussion? Any objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passed. Next item, please.
The next item is on page 37, item 4.2, consideration of revisions to Bulletin 130, regulations for the evaluation and assessment of school personnel regarding teacher and administrator observations for the 2021-2022 school year. The department recommendation is to approve as notice of intent.
So moved.
Second by Mr. Bellamy, moved by Dr. Boffitt. Any discussion? Any objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes.
Next item is on page 56, item 6.1, consideration of executive session regarding the discussion of the character, professional competence, or physical or mental health of a person in accordance with Louisiana Revised Statute 4216 regarding educator credentials for the following persons: Cedric Blake, Mary Lee Dunn, and Stephanie Sever.
Shall we give a motion to go into executive session? I promise we will not be long. Then move second, and we go into executive session.
Wait,
All right, it's been moved by Dr. Davis and second by Dr. Davis and Dr. Morris. Okay, in all of this motion passed, 2/3 vote of members present required. May I have a roll call, please?
Dr. Bovee? Yes.
Mr. Castillo?
Yes.
Dr. Davis?
Yes.
Ms. Ellis is not in attendance. Mr. Garvey? Not in attendance. Ms. Holloway? Here. Yes. Mr. Mallory?
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Ms. Orange Jones is not in attendance. Ms. Boucher is not in attendance. And Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
All right, motion passes.
Motion passes. Okay. No votes will be taken while the board is in executive session. At this time, the Educational Affairs Committee stands in recess to go into executive session.
We have.
Session. Can we get a motion to reconvene the education committee? So moved, made by
Castillo, Dr. Davis.
Castillo, second by Dr. Davis, okay? Any objection? Any objection? Motion passed. All right, here now. Okay, I need to read into the record, we had two public comments, one was on 2.1, and that was by Dustin Lieber, and he wished not to speak. Information only, and wished not to speak, and then that was on Michael Needle of Weasley, Louisiana Associated Superintendent, and 4.2, did not wish to speak, but supported the recommendation.
The next item is on page 57, item 6.2. Consideration of a record review regarding the reinstatement of a Louisiana teaching certificate appropriate to the credentials of Mr. Cedric Blakes. The recommendation is to grant, deny, or refer.
Have a motion? Can we get a motion?
I would move to deny.
Move to deny. Okay.
Second.
Who's second? Who's second?
So which one are we,
Is that Mr. Blake?
Cedric Blake.
Right. Hearing no second, it's a pass, the lack of second. May I have a motion on number, Mr. Blake? Move. I didn't know that, like that, for lack of second.
Okay.
Okay. Another motion by Mr. Castillo, motion to approve, second by Dr. Davis. Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
I'd like to state for the record that I would prefer to see more time than just 5 years pass between the event that causes this kind of situation and the appeal to asking for relief. That's why I would vote against.
All right.
Do you wish to be recorded as opposed?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, any other objection? One, hearing none, motion passes. Next item?
The next item is on page 72, item 6.3, consideration of a record review regarding the reinstatement of the Louisiana teaching authorization appropriate to the credentials of Ms. Mary Lee Dunn. The recommendation is to grant, deny, or defer.
Have a motion?
I make a motion to grant.
Motion to grant by Dr. Davis. Have a second? Second by Mr. Garvey. Let me get your name now. Okay. Any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion passes. Next one.
The next item is on page 86, item 6.3, consideration of a records review regarding the reinstatement of a Louisiana teaching certificate appropriate to the credentials of Ms. Stephanie Sever. The recommendation is to grant, deny, or defer.
Have a motion, please.
I make a motion to grant.
Motion granted by Dr. Davis. Second by Mr. Army. Discussion? Any objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes.
Mr. Chair, that concludes the meeting, the agenda, and the day. Y'all just stay going.